Hey, thanks for clicking on the video. This is going to be another episode of Reforge Gaming News, and yes, we're revisiting the pay-to-win discussion in Lost Ark because Asmongold made a video as well as Josh Strife Hayes. I feel they make good arguments, but they commit some pretty significant fallacies from my view, and I want to address that in the front end of this video, and then we're going to discuss it with the audience. We try to make these past broadcasts very consumable for you, so we do this update segment right here at the beginning to give you my thoughts on whatever it is that we're covering. This is a Reforge update. The Lost Ark pay-to-win debate continues to rise and fall depending on how you define terms and what you think of this game. Asmongold and Josh Strife Hayes seem to be in agreement that this game is pay-to-win, and I want to take issue with their argumentation about it and talk about why this is really, really important because of so many games and differences that are out there. If you like these quick Reforge updates, hit subscribe and the bell button so you don't miss them. So essentially, I am arguing that they are wrong because I believe they commit two fallacies sort of on top of each other, and it also, I think, leads to confusion within the realm of gaming and our definitions and terms that we use. The first fallacy they commit is the fallacy of presumption. They presume that their definition is the definition for pay to win, and I think this is a faulty way of arguing. They've not really argued why their definition is correct. They simply presume that it is the correct definition and then argue on those grounds. The second fallacy they commit is the appeal to definition fallacy. So when you just constantly appeal to the definition in the dictionary or the definition of a word, that's not necessarily arguing in a prescriptive way, it's more of a descriptive way, which doesn't necessarily mean the use of the word has that rigid, narrow way of being used. Essentially, words and terms have a range of meaning, and often when you define something very rigidly and narrowly to suit your argumentation, this is known as the appeal to definition fallacy, where you just keep appealing to this one particular definition, and it could be different across different dictionaries, different uses, different contexts. So those two fallacies, I think, make their argumentation weak. I think they're intelligent guys. I think they argue well, but I feel they're building their argumentation on faulty ground. Now, in addition to this, I think it's really important to not accept their definition, and here's why. Conflating pay to win with any form of pay to progress dilutes and weakens the term pay to win. I think the term pay to win is very important to be used appropriately and not so broadly. If you use it too broadly, it means virtually any game in existence with sort of a pay to progress suddenly becomes pay to win, and then the term is muddied and diluted. I think this happens all the time. It happens in cancel culture. We take terms and use them too broadly to attach them to lesser and greater offenses, and they're all treated equally. So if a game has pay to progress, labeling it pay to win, I think, is an extreme and inaccurate label, which actually makes it very difficult to have conversations about some of the worst offenders. Now, Asmongold grants that there's a spectrum of bad. He also says that he's arguing from emotion and not arguing logically, but then he uses language like, I'll refute anything you put on Reddit, I'm right, everybody else is wrong. You can't really use argumentation language like refute and right and wrong, but then just say, well, it's not logical, it's purely emotional, almost as if nobody can really prove him wrong because it's just purely his opinion. Now, I appreciate the fact that he owns the fact that it's opinion, but I don't think it's helpful in the grand discussion about microtransactions in video games. Okay, the term has origins. The term pay to win, the origins are you can pay to have something stronger to win against another person, which corrupts the entire competitive aspect of games where there's a winner and a loser. And using it in these other realms where you're starting to describe winning or define winning as just getting further in the game or beating the game, I think again this is a dilution of the term, which takes away its potency when used in more extreme cases. There are bad actors out there. There are bad games and bad microtransaction structures, and we should reserve pay to win for those times where it is genuinely, according to sort of the etymology of the term and what it originated from, that's when it should be used. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and as always, click subscribe and the bell button, and I'll see you in the next one. And I'll see the rest of you right now this morning. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Definitely curious what you guys think about this, what you think of my argumentation that they're sort of compounding fallacies here, the fallacy of presumption and then the appeal to definition fallacy. They presume their definition is the definition, and then they just constantly appeal to that definition. And then on top of that, my argumentation that this term is very important to sort of keep in its origins, where it came from. The idea of pay to win was not born out of pay to progress. It was born out of the idea that you could pay to be stronger or better and subsequently then beat another player in a game, which corrupts the spirit of competition. Like, that's where the term came from. And if we start using it, in my mind, just too liberally or too broadly, I think that's unhelpful in the grand discussion about pay to win. So I'm just going to ask a very simple poll question this morning. Lost Ark, okay, is it pay to win? So in your mind, is paying to progress, paying to get farther, is that pay to win? Is that how you define it? I don't think it's helpful to define it in that way, and maybe I can convince you that pay to progress is a better and more accurate term as a disclaimer to people who are going to play, as well as reserving the more severe category of pay to win for the more serious offenders that are out there, because there's plenty of games that do this. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for being here. I see you in the chat feed. Thank you so much for being here this morning. Make sure you're on live chat. Make sure you have smashed the like button. We appreciate and welcome disagreement. So hope you and everyone are great. Was down with fever, so I haven't been online. Well, thanks for being here this morning. Somebody said something about the rebrand. May not have been paying attention, but I feel like Reforge Gaming is a recent name change. Yeah, we did it about a week ago. We dropped the SNTR moniker, and we put everything under the Reforge parent company, basically. Can't you buy geared with gold and gems? Yeah, you can buy currencies that help you hone your gear, and that can definitely help you advance into areas where you need to have a certain gear level and score in order to access the content. So essentially, I don't want to watch Asmongold's video because he swears a lot and I'm safe for work. So I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I'm going to do my best to represent his position well. I think that's a fair way to argue. Essentially, what Asmongold argues is winning is not necessarily PvP only, and he draws this bar graph, and he says, as you advance along this graph, if at any time you can spend money to get further in the game and essentially win, get into the end game, beat end game content or whatever, he says that's winning, that's you paying to win. I disagree extremely with that dilution of the definition, because again, I think definitions are very important, because once you know defined terms and categories, then you can properly argue. This is where he commits the fallacy of presumption. He presumes that his definition is the definition, and then he commits the second fallacy of appeal to definition fallacy, where he just keeps appealing to that definition to make his point. I don't think he's wrong in saying you can spend money to get into other parts of the game while somebody else not spending money can't do that. But to me, I think it's very important to draw a distinction between pay for progression and pay to win, because one is far more egregious. It is giving you an advantage over another player and then corrupting the spirit of competition, which is far worse than pay to progress. Pay to progress is essentially optional. It doesn't affect other players. It honestly takes away from the players spending the money. They're essentially saying, I'm going to play the game less and give them more money, which is just such a weird relationship. To be honest, I'm on Asmongold's side If it makes you better than the average player and guild, people will pick you over a kid or a guy that is free to play. Now, that was an argument that Asmongold made. I thought that was a pretty good supporting argument to his case, that, listen, you're trying to get into guilds, and Johnny Credit Card, he doesn't say that, that's my term, Johnny Credit Card is going to have better gear, they're going to look better, whatever, they're going to get into guilds. This feels incredibly... what's the word? This feels extremely edge case to argue that that is pay to win, because getting into a guild is not necessarily winning anything. Again, it's not, and again, you're going to say, oh, well, that's an advantage over another player. Again, the bulk of the game is not necessarily like, do these things to get into a guild, and someone spending money is going to be like light years more appealing than you. You're not going to get picked for the dodgeball team, right? That's kind of the argumentation. I think that's extremely edge case and super anecdotal. Like, oh, I didn't get in because I didn't spend money. I didn't get into a guild. I don't find that compelling as an argument. I think it's a good supporting argument, but I don't find it very compelling given how rare that would actually happen. That's not a game-defining thing or an identity-defining thing. That's not something that's going to be commonly happen. Having the best gear doesn't mean that you won, because you have to be actually good to beat the endgame dungeons and raids. Paying for your gear isn't a ticket to victory. Yeah, just because you have good gear, exactly. I don't think people would necessarily always just whittle it down to, oh, you have better gear, I'm going to pick you. Another time, I do not have the time for that Asmongold and no-lifers have to grind the game. I'm going to use my resources to get whatever I want to put into the game. If it bothers you, oh, well. And again, that's my point. Now, Josh Strife Hayes, I really appreciated his logic, even though it was built on a faulty, a fallacious starting point and premise. Because again, he is presuming, the fallacy of presumption, he's presuming that his definition of pay to win is the definition. I did think his logic was sound, though. He said, listen, the difference between buying the thing in ESO is it's a once-a-month thing, so once you pay that money, you're all on level playing field. He says when there's zero cap and you can continue buying and continue advancing your power, he said that is where you would argue that it's pay to win. Now again, I think unfortunately baked into the crust of his argument is a faulty definition that he's presumed is the definition. So the fallacy of appealing to the definition and the fallacy of presumption, I think, corrupts the stability of his argument. It's like, well, but that's not the definition. The tried and true, like if you just like do some etymology of the term and study its origins and kind of look about how it's generally defined as a gamer colloquialism, it is defined as paying to have an advantage over another player, and you being further in any game doesn't, in a game like this, it doesn't really afford you advantages. It doesn't afford you advantages in PvP. And he got really cheeky, and he drew 3 circles, and he said, as long as this teeny little circle's not pay to win, the game's not pay to win. The problem again there, though, is that the definition of the word and the term's origins are more important here than just deciding that every time you can pay to progress, that's pay to win. Hilly says you can buy currency and convert and buy everything sold in the game with no limit on spending. Yep, that's pay to win. But again, you are committing the presumption fallacy of like, oh, this is the definition of pay to win. You're defining pay to progress as pay to win. I think that's a fallacious premise. I think appealing to that definition is also fallacious. It's like that's not the generally accepted definition. Listen, you could redefine anything to establish your position. That's almost like the fallacy of special pleading. Like, or maybe even begging the question. Like, you could redefine pay to win as, well, buying stuff in the game makes you look cooler, and that's you winning at sort of the cultural standout, race that everybody's in. So buying skins in Fortnite's pay to win. Well, of course, if I completely redefine pay to win to be so diluted and so stretched, like that of course makes every game pay to win. Progressing in a game is how you win. Again, traditionally speaking, pay to win was defined as having an advantage over another player. Paying money in this game does not give you an advantage over another player. It simply allows you to skip grind so you can go into content faster. That's not an advantage over another player. The term was born out of paying to win against another player in a PvP environment. Yanking the term out of its origin and using it in every single game where there's paid progress, you have now created, I think, a categorical problem. Basically, every single game with pay to progress is pay to win, which I think is one of the most egregious errors of our culture right now. If you look at how people argue about anything, there is no spectrum, there's no nuance. If you like, look, to get personal, like, look what happened to me, right? Like, the most minor thing is considered egregious and criminal. Like, we don't have nuance anymore. Like, Bill Burr was ranting about this the other day. It's like, this is a cultural thing now, that we take something and we say, well, pay to win is bad. And any game that even has a whiff of paying money to progress is pay to win. And it's like, well, you've just ruined that category. A genuine game with pay to win, where you could buy better stuff and beat other players in a sports game or a competitive game, that's severely problematic. And it's now lumped in with a game that lets you pay for shortcuts that's PvE. Like, I don't find that to be helpful. I think that that's a conflation of categories, which then we're lacking clarity. So when you say pay to win, if you have to follow it up by being like, well, asterisk here, it's not actually pay to win, it's pay to progress. Well, then just say pay to progress. Matasbo with 4 months, Team Dark Roast, Double Dip Club, Punch a Goose. My man, welcome. Welcome back. We're in like the final 70 bags of coffee. Somebody already ordered one this morning. A Frickmas and a light, and they use the code GETFRICKED, filled to despair. Thank you for doing that. A 5-spot from Juso. You can buy better gear so you have a better chance to get into PvE groups over a player who has worse gear. That's advantage over another player. But again, I believe that is an edge case. That's not a game-defining principle. A game-defining principle would be, you're trying to beat other players at FIFA. And if you spend money, you're going to have a better team and have a huge advantage over those other people when you're competing. That's game defining, okay? Getting into PvE groups in a guild or matchmaking or any of that, that's not game defining. That's not like the central precipice of the game. Like if Asmongold's going to draw his circles and say, yeah, this little teeny tiny part, PvP, isn't pay to win, so that makes it okay. You're basically saying, in this little teeny tiny instance where you might get passed over, you can't argue that you will. You're presuming that, oh yeah, you're going to get passed over. That's another fallacy. Like, that's not a good way to argue. Oh, you might get passed over. Okay, well, you might get passed over in Fortnite if you don't have a really good skin on, because people are going to think that you're not a committed player, you're not a hardcore player. That's pay to win. You can spend money in Fortnite, get better skins, look like a more committed player, and have an easier time finding people to play with. That's pay to win. Do you see what you're doing? You're taking a specific instance and arguing backwards from it. Instead of saying, from a definitional standpoint, this is laden throughout the game, you're going all the way to a very specific case and saying, if this in fact happens, the game is pay to win. But that's not how you're supposed to argue. You argue from a premise and a foundational definition first, and then you get your supporting arguments in order. You've not established that this is the definition. You've not established that you can appeal to that definition. And then if you're going to then again presume that that definition is true, and in addition to presuming that that definition is true, you're going to appeal to it to then say, oh, if somebody passes you over in a PvE group, you're now going to feel pressure to spend money. You can't draw a straight line between that. That like, well, if somebody got picked because they spent money, that's why they got picked. You might not even know that. They might have gotten picked because of the class they're on. They might have gotten picked because they're on a class that you're not. Maybe they are higher level than you because they've actually played more than you, and to round out their character, sure, they bought better gear, but that might not be the only reason they picked you. See again? See the presumption? The presumption is, oh, if you got picked and you spent money, it's because you spent money. That's not a logical way to argue. If person A spends money and person B doesn't spend money, and person A gets picked over person B, it is because they spent money. No, that's not logical. That's not logically sound. That is presuming that that's the reason that you were picked. So if that's the case, then you're arguing again on presumption that, like, well, that's why, and therefore the game's pay to win because I can't get into PvE groups without spending money. Who's saying that? Who's telling you that? If spending equals grinding, it's a non-issue. At most, you could find it to be unfair. But unfair in what perspective? Like, let's say somebody buys Horizon Forbidden West. And for whatever reason, Horizon Forbidden West allows people... I am making this up, by the way. This is completely fantasy. Let's say Horizon Forbidden West would allow you to spend money to get skill points to fill out your skill tree really early in the game. Well, what's that going to do? Well, Johnny Credit Card can swipe his credit card and go through the early stages of the game being incredibly overpowered and just steamrolling through the game, and he plays a 15-hour campaign in 7 hours, okay? I wouldn't look at that and say that that's unfair. I'd be like, you're dumb. Why'd you do that? What are you doing? You didn't even play the game. You paid money to not play the game. Oh, but they beat it faster than me. Who the frick cares about that? That's not an actual thing. Like, winning or losing in FIFA is an actual thing that can be measured. There is a winner and there is a loser. But as far as like, oh, getting to the end game faster or beating the game faster, that's winning. Again, you have completely redefined the term winning to suit your argument. That is so fallacious. That's not how you argue. You can redefine anything. I'm going to define winning as looking cool in the game. Therefore, Fortnite's pay to win. Because you spend, the more money you spend, the cooler you look in the game. Well, of course it is now. I've redefined the term. Winning in Fortnite is winning, like shooting other players and coming out on top at the end. And if you could spend money to start games in Fortnite with better gear, that would be pay to win. Because you're paying money to have an advantage over other players. If I redefine win to basically be whatever I want, you've now diluted the term, and it essentially means nothing. Another part of the in-game store called Mari's Secret Store offers consumables and materials. It rotates every 6 hours. Players will be able to go back to previous offerings as far as the past 72 hours. Some products in the in-game store that are bought with the Royal Crystals or crystals contain random items. Yeah, the cards. I believe the cards are that. Not a fair comparison. Horizon is a solo game. Lost Ark is an MMO. And guilds compete for world first endgame. But again... you creating your own secondary competition, that would be like saying people compete for fashion shows in Fortnite, therefore Fortnite's pay to win. That guy spent a bunch of money and he won the fashion show. Do you see what I'm saying? You can't make a secondary competition and then try and smuggle that in and be like, yeah, well, guilds compete for world's first. Okay, is that something official? Is that in the game? Is there a leaderboard? Is there prestige? Are there trophies? Are there rewards for doing that? No. Then you've invented a competition to then retroactively be like, yeah, it's pay to win. But that's not something in the game. That's something you've come up with. But if I win first, then I've won twice. It's not pay to win, it's pay to die. The only issue I have is the feather. If you're in a group for a few days and eventually you all run out of feathers, everyone buys feathers apart from you, and the other group players wait around for 5 minutes to find someone else. Well, I mean, I don't know. Are they that... Is that a reality? Is that like a common thing? Or is that another edge case? Oh, I ran out of feathers. Like... Like, is that a common problem in this game? And can't you buy the feathers with the in-game currency anyway? Can't you buy them with the actual, like, in-game currency? So you can naturally keep them afloat, right? Gold is being sold in chat. So Johnny Credit Card doesn't have an effect on trading. But again, trading is not defined as winning. So, like, you're having to redefine winning. Listen, pay to progress is not pay to win. That is the problem. You can buy everything with real money. That's simply untrue. No, you cannot. You can't buy endgame gear with money. You can level up your existing endgame gear to hone it so that it's stronger, but I can't walk into the store and be like, here's $100, give me the best gear in the game. That's simply untrue. That's a misrepresentation of what the store offers. The store offers a currency to hone gear. You need that existing gear in order to do that. You can buy endgame gear, you can buy gold, you could buy it in trade. But again, that necessitates another person selling that. They're selling the store itself is not selling endgame gear for money. That's the point I was making. You're arguing 8 steps to be like, yeah, pay to win. Again, even though someone can spend money, real money, go to the auction house and buy endgame gear, you have redefined win, which is the fallacy of presumption and the fallacy of appealing to a definition. It's 2 fallacies on top of each other. It's a bad argument. It's a bad argument. They're paying money to not play. They're paying money to progress faster than you. That's not pay to win. It simply isn't. Pay to progress is pay to win? No. You just said a cheeseburger is a chicken nugget. You can't say 2 different things categorically are the same. That is fallacious. That's logically defunct. It isn't true. You can't just assert that a cheeseburger is a chicken nugget. You can't. Because, well, I define chicken nugget as a round piece of meat. Again, you've just conflated categories, and now we're confused. When you conflate categories and redefine things to your liking, you can't have communication with people. Man, that was a really fast car that just went by. The frick are you talking about? That was a kid on a skateboard. Yeah, well, there's 4 wheels, and I logically say cars have 4 wheels, therefore anything with 4 wheels is a car. No, you would fail right out of logic class. That you cannot redefine things like that. Progress is winning? But since when? Since when is progress winning? The etymology of the term pay to win was not born out of progress. It was born out of buying an advantage over another player. You win, they lose. That's where the term came from. You are now trying to claim, well, let's expand the umbrella of win to include progression. And I'm telling you, that's fallacious. It's not logical. You're redefining something to make an argument. That's a terrible way to argue. You would fail speech and debate. You wouldn't win. If you were in a speech and debate class and you did that, they'd be like, no, you can't do that. That's like 3 fallacies wrapped up in one. You can't do that. It's illogical. Frank with 3 months, just curious, have you studied formal debate? You're skilled at it? A little bit, thank you. What's your definition of pay to win? Buying something in a game that gives you an advantage over another player, which aids you in winning and them losing. That's not progress. That isn't. Well, Timmy progressed more than me. He won. He won what? What did he win? Just the word win. The word win has a range of meaning, and it doesn't include this. Go to the definition of the word win and look at all the definitions. I'm not doing appeal to definition fallacy. I'm saying look at the word win, look at the range of meaning of win, And it doesn't work. You're calling a cheeseburger a chicken nugget. It's like, this isn't, you're recategorizing win to be getting farther in the game. According to your definition, pay to win has to be in PvP. It's not my definition. It's the definition. It's where it came from. It was in the realm of communication. Terms are born out of things that happen, okay? So, the idea of pay to win, it was born out of the idea of a game where you spend money and you get an advantage to win and the other player loses. That's where the term came from. You're trying to grab the term and be like, well, we're going to redefine what win is to progression, and instead of saying pay to progress, we're just going to hijack this and say pay to win. Why would you do that? Pay to progress is a perfectly good term. It's accurate, it's clear, it makes perfectly good sense. But why don't people want to use the term pay to progress? Because it's not negative. It isn't negative. It's a pay to progress. It's a pay to shortcut. Like, I don't know, in one of the most hailed free-to-play games out there, Warframe. So Warframe's pay to win. Pay to win cannot evolve. I'm not saying it can't evolve. What I'm saying is you are damaging communication and discourse if you take a term, dilute it, and use it so broadly and liberally that now we can't have clarity. So FIFA is pay to win, and so is Warframe. What the frick? That doesn't even make any sense. It doesn't even make any sense. You've got them in the same category. Warframe and FIFA? Do you think that brings clarity? Do you think that helps criticism? Do you think that helps, like, people understand, wait a minute, what the frick? It has pay to win? How? Well, you can pay to progress, so you play less. Well, okay, then just say that. Then just say that. Why the insistence on a term that is chock full of presumption, assumptions, and negativity? Why? How many officially recognized world firsts are even in there in the MMO world? The game itself doesn't pop up. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's not in the game. It's a self-created thing. This is how discourse works now? Yeah, people hijacking and redefining terms to their liking. That's fallacious. That's not how you argue. You would fail speech and debate class. Do it. Find a community college, enroll, and make that argument. You know what they're going to say? Well, fallacy of presumption. You presumed your definition. You've redefined the term win, and then you've appealed to that definition. That's like 3 fallacies in one. Again, I can redefine win to mean anything and call every single game pay to win. It dilutes and confuses communication to conflate categories of pay to progress and pay to win. So when you start confusing those categories and you start calling games pay to win, well, now we have zero spectrum of, like, here's what it should be. Microtransactions is like the big giant banner, and like right underneath that is pay to, okay? Pay to what? Pay to look cool, pay to progress, pay to win. There's all these different categories within the pay to umbrella. And then you take everything and you jam it in. You're like, well, this is all pay to win now. Well, now we have no freaking clue what the word means. If you call every round piece of meat a chicken nugget, you're lacking clarity. I'll have your finest chicken nugget, medium rare. The frick? You're in a steakhouse. Well, yeah. A round piece of meat is a chicken nugget. Paying for anything in a game is pay to win. So, I mean, this game's pay to win, that game's pay to win. Warframe's pay to win, FIFA's pay to win, Lost Ark's pay to win, and now we've essentially failed to communicate clearly about anything. You're just using a negative internet colloquialism buzzword to hit a game and I guess farm clicks on Reddit or and I'm not accusing Asmongold of this or Josh Strife Hayes. I'm not. They're not farming clicks. I believe that they believe in their passion and in their heart of hearts and in their mind that the game is pay to win. They believe it. They're not just farming likes. I believe they're men of integrity. But I think their contribution to the conversation is unhelpful. I don't think conflating these categories helps us intellectually criticize and categorize games. Pay to win. Hilly, you can just keep showing items that can be purchased. You have not successfully redefined win because the word won't let you, and the etymological study of the term pay to win won't allow you either. So you think he's 100% wrong? Yes, I think Asmongold is wrong. I think he is just refusing to call it pay to progress. He's just saying, well, yeah, it's pay to progress, but according to my definition of win, it's pay to win. He redefines win to suit his argumentation. That's fallacious. You would fail speech and debate class if you did that. According to all logical rules of argumentation, you're not allowed to do that and win the argument. Now, he says it's an argument from emotion. It's not a logical argument. But then he uses words like, I'll refute anybody who puts a post on Reddit. I'm right, everybody else is wrong. Well, you can't use terms like right, wrong, and refute and then be like, well, it's not a logical argument. Well, you're just borrowing capital then. You're borrowing argumentative terms and terminologies to claim you're right, others are wrong, and that you'll refute people, but then you're like, well, it's not a logical argument. Okay, so what, that gets you out from underneath anybody proving you wrong, I guess? Winning is subjective in the context of an MMO? No. Because you could say winning is subjective in any game. You could say, well, winning is subjective to the game and the context, so you're going to contextualize winning in every game. You could do that in Destiny. You could contextualize winning in saying, well, winning in Destiny is looking cool, and you can buy really cool items in the Eververse, ergo, it's pay to win. Well, of course, if you redefine win to mean whatever the frick you want it to mean, then every single game with a micro store is pay to win. All you have to do is redefine win. Let's say you don't like Fortnite. Let's say you don't like Destiny. Let's say you don't like Warframe. All you got to do is redefine win, and you can be like, yeah, it's pay to win. And when we do that, we're not having clarity and we're not having good discourse. Like, you're not. Get the dictionary out and read the definitions of advantage out loud. Appealing to definitions another fallacy. That's not how you argue this. You'd have to argue first and foremost that you have an advantage over another player to win, because that's where the term was born out of. You're hijacking a term because it's baked with negativity, and you're using it in a way that's inaccurate. No one is using the term as it was born. Distorted says pay to win is being able to pay to get something other people can't get through not paying. Like DLCs can give you powerful weapons that non-DLC owners can't get. Pay to progress would be like Lost Ark. Even then, I don't accept that definition of pay to win. A DLC in Destiny isn't pay to win because you have to buy the DLC to get the good weapon. I don't think that's pay to win. What's winning in Lost Ark then? I've never used the term win. Hey man, how's Borderlands 2? Oh, it's pretty good. Oh yeah, did you win yet? The frick? Who talks like that? No, you don't talk like that. You've never talked. Did you win? How was it? Was winning Borderlands 2 really fun? Who the frick talks like that? Man, winning Borderlands 2 felt really good. We don't talk like this. You're inventing a terminology that we've never used. Bro, I won. I won. Winning. Are you winning, son? Nobody's ever said that. Dude, I won. Now, you might say, I finished it, or I beat the final boss, or I beat the game. And you might say, okay, well, beating is a form of winning. Like, I won the last fight in Sekiro. But when we've used the term pay to win, what it was born out of was paying to win against another player. That's where the term came from. That's what the term has meant almost always. Nobody ever called Warframe pay to win. Ever. And if they did, nobody paid any attention to them. It's pay to win. Why is it pay to win? Well, because you can pay to not play and progress faster. The frick? How's that pay to win? It's not about winning. It's about gaining an advantage over other players who do not play. So right now, if I went in and spent money on my character, what advantage does that give me over to you? What direct advantage do I have over you? Explain that to me. What advantage do I have over you? What? Oh, I can go into content earlier than you? That's not an advantage. An advantage would mean that we're going head-to-head in some sort of a competition. Advantage is contextually tied to some form of a competition. Like, that's what it's contextually tied to. I can't have an advantage. Like, let's say I can play more than you, so I get further in Borderlands 2 than you. Well, you have an advantage over me. Your gear's stronger. The frick? What do you mean? How do I have an advantage over you? I'm just further in the game than you. Your life is pay to win. You can play more than me. Spending less time to acquire in-game's items and progression is an advantage. Again, that's fallacious. You're redefining advantage to suit your argumentation. That's bad argumentation. Well, I think an advantage is having better gear in the game than me. Okay, well, that's not what advantage traditionally means, because advantage usually is baked into a competition. Like, he paid for extra ammo and he had an advantage in the fight. He paid to progress further, so he has an advantage over me. Really? Advantage? What advantage? Well, he can go in endgame content before I can. Why the frick does that matter? What does that do to you or your experience? What directional advantage do you feel right now when you boot up a game and people are doing stuff that you're not able to? What's that? What is that? I don't understand. Every single game I've ever played, there's going to be people that are further than you. I'm literally reading definitions off of a dictionary. You're going to argue Webster's dictionary? Fallacy of appealing to definition. Appealing to definition fallacy is not how you argue, because dictionaries are descriptive and not prescriptive. That's a fallacious way to argue. You don't run to a definition and then be like, yeah, see? It's an advantage. How? How is it an advantage over you? I paid for higher frame rate, pay to win. A condition of circumstances that puts one in a favorable position. But when you say favorable position, baked into that is the assumption that then the other person's in an unfavorable position. That's not true. You're just not as far in the game as they are. That's not favorable versus unfavorable. Because favorable would indicate that they are going to exercise that favor over you. You're in an unfavorable position. So they have the favor. They have the advantage over you. No, they don't. Right now, you boot up the game, and anytime you're in the server, there's people all around you who are further in the game than you. Oh, well, they have an advantage over me. How? They're further than you. Do you understand? Here, let's apply the logic of what you're saying, and you'll see how absurd it is. You'll see how absurd it is. This is logical. Anybody further in the game than me has an advantage over me. Therefore, everybody who's further than you is winning and you're losing. You're perpetually losing and they're perpetually winning. That's absurd. Nobody would think that way or argue that way. But according to your definition, anybody who's more advanced or further in the game than you is in a more favorable position and a more advantageous position. Ergo, they're winning and you're losing. Do you see how it doesn't work? You can't use this terminology in any other context in the game. It only works when you apply it in this one specific instance of like, well, they paid for it, so therefore it's an advantage. So if I don't pay for it, it's not an advantage? Well, no, because you earned it. Oh, I see. So the word is only defined narrowly and rigidly to fit your argument in this particular instance. That's not fallacious at all, except that it's incredibly fallacious. Anybody that's further than you is winning and you're losing? Anybody that's more higher level than you has an advantage over you? No, they've just played more. They've paid or played more. Why is one winning and the other not? Let's put two players side by side, and you walk up to them and you look at them, okay? You walk up to them, you look at them, and they're level 50, and what's a high gear score in this game? What's a high gear score? Let me just look at somebody in the guild. Let's just look at somebody in the guild. Is Unseen Avenger at 493? Is that like really high? Is he 50? Let's just go with 500. Okay, let's just go with 500. 3 letters, PvP. PvP is equalized. Checkmate. Anyway, so you walk up to two players. Both players are equal. One's level 50. They're both level 50. Gear score's 500. Good endgame gear. A lot of honing has happened. A lot of investments happened. One played like crazy, and one paid like crazy. Okay? In your argumentation, the one that paid is winning, and the one that didn't is not winning. Do you see? Anybody who's played longer than you is winning because they're ahead of you. PvP is devalued, not checkmate. No, you can't apply pay to win to PvP because the gear is equalized. That's a checkmate. You cannot argue pay to win. It's literally not allowed. You don't have advantage. 68% review on Steam. That's all I need to know. 1.3 million concurrent player records are all I need to know. So review bombs mean nothing. Just go look at the Steam numbers and talk to me in 2 weeks too, because in 2 weeks they'll still be really high. It's one of the most popular MMOs globally, comes to the West and starts breaking every concurrent player numbers. I don't give a frick about review bombs. If you're going to let review bombs sway you, then you're a fool. To be as polite as I can about it. If you're going to let review bombs sway your opinion of a game, then you are a fool. That's because those players are not on Steam. 1.3 million concurrent player record. Suck on that. Like, put that in your pipe and smoke that. It's a 68% though. Okay. You know what else is popular? You're done. You're done. You're just trying to cause rifts and division. You're not somebody who argues in good faith. You're not here for discourse, so you're gone. I don't bounce people who disagree with me. I bounce people who come in here and try and cause division and disruption, and that's all you've done. That's like your 4th comment like that. So, find somewhere else to be an idiot. I don't know if those concurrent player numbers are a fair assessment, given there are a few good MMOs at this point. Yeah, 1.3 million people are playing the game concurrently, and they're only doing it because there's nothing else to play. That's right. The game's crap, and we're all just shoveling in our mouths hand over fist because there's nothing else to play. Come on, make a good argument. It doesn't matter how you try to define it. Pay to progress is never healthy for a game. End of story. That's an assertion. Make an argument. You've asserted it's not healthy. Argue as to why. Despite the debate, the game is fun. I think the game is super fun. I think this game is here for a long time. I will never forget the first time I got to the end of Mario 3 and the first time I got to the end of Fallout 76 and the game said, "You win." Winner is you. Winner is you. There are 8, if not more, different MMOs to play. What kind of argument is that? Yeah, Final Fantasy was so popular with Endwalker that they had to stop selling it because they couldn't get enough servers to take the demand. But yeah, there's no good MMOs to play right now. In Lost Ark, it's not pay to win, but my question is, do you need Crystalline Aura to have pet items for you? Because I love that help. No, the pet will pick up items without the aura. The pet does more when you have the aura. If players have the same in-game time, but one paid for gear and jumped into PvP, they will have more experience in PvP because they were not grinding gear. Oh, no. That's another presumption. You're presuming that experience in PvP translates into skill. Another presumption that is not true. Have you ever seen kids with really high ranks and all the things unlocked and thousands of hours in a PvP game and they're a potato? Because I've seen plenty of them. I've shoutcasted them. Come on, bro. That's a presumption. That's a fallacy of presumption. You cannot definitively argue that experience in PvP equates and translates into skill. It's a presumption, which means you can't argue from it. Practicing anything makes you better? False. That's so absolutist, sweeping, and false. No. There are plenty of people that could practice the piano for the next 100 days, and a person could practice the piano for 30 days, and one would be significantly better than the other. It's called affinity and ability. When affinity and ability come together, you love it and you can do it. How many people have practiced singing? How many? And they go on American Idol and they sound like a cat being thrown into a blender. They've sung their whole life. They say they're amazing. You like your gift? I thought you would like it. I marked it down a long, long time ago, and then I saw Catherine had one, and I was like, okay, it must be good. Yeah, she has one of those. Is there a coffee command? There is a coffee command, or you can go to rageousroast.com. I just feel like people who are disagreeing with Asmongold are just showing their inexperience and or ignorance when it comes to the MMO genre. That's not an argument. Did you argue, MRI guy? I didn't mean to skip your argumentation. Did you actually make an argument? Because you're calling me argument. You're calling me ignorant is what you're doing without saying it directly. You said, give it a month or two and this game's pop will drop off a cliff because of the crazy endgame grind and the pay to progress turning more people off as time goes on. Okay. The only way your prediction is right is if Western gamers are so insanely juxtaposed against Eastern gamers, because this game has not had that experience in the other markets that it exists in. So your argument requires such a marked, measurable, and definitive difference between the Western market and the Eastern market. Now, I will grant you there are big differences between us. I don't think they're significant enough for this game to die off because it's a tried and true game. What do you mean? This isn't New World, homie. This is built for tough. This game's built to last. It is insanely popular. Yo, what's good, Atwood? We do have a plethora of Korean content creators literally telling us it's pay to win and what not to buy. That doesn't mean that they're correct just because that they've played the game before us. So if we disagree with Asmon, we're ignorant because he's made a career off playing MMOs. That's what I'm saying. I disagree with Asmongold at a definitional level. The game is pay to progress. I think redefining pay to progress as pay to win because you've redefined win to mean getting further in the game. That's not that's not how it's been historically defined. So to redefine win and to redefine progress all in one fell swoop to then make the argument it's pay to win, it's like that's so many fallacies on top of each other. That's not how you argue a point. Eastern gamers are far more acceptable of pay to win and pay to progress models. Those models are generally not acceptable in the West. False. False. That's not true. Warframe is one of the most praised and most supported free-to-play games out there, and it has pay to progress. Your argument is a semantic argument? No, their argument is a semantic argument. I am saying your argument is pure semantics. You're redefining stuff so that you can come to a conclusion. It's an a priori conclusion. They've concluded it's pay to win, and they go back and they cheat and they structure the argument to support their conclusion. That's not how you come to a conclusion. What you would say is, what's pay to win mean? And you go and you read the definition. What was pay to win born out of? Where did this come from? Why do we even use this term? Okay, well, there are games where You can pay money to have an advantage over another player. Okay, define advantage over another player. Well, it helps you beat them so that you're more likely to win and they're more likely to lose. Oh, okay. Is that present in Lost Ark? No, it isn't. It's not present. Okay, hang on a minute. Let's yank these terms out, redefine them, shove them back in. Yeah, now it's pay to win. That's not how you argue a point. You could do that with any game that has microtransactions. Okay, let's take pay to win, completely redefine what win means, completely redefine what advantage means, and then put it all back together, and yeah, every game is pay to win now. What? I don't agree with them, but pay to progress has always been an insidious business model because devs are incentivized to make arbitrary long grinds because they sell power. That is definitely something to be on guard for. I call that the art of the squeeze. That's the art of the squeeze. They squeeze the player to where you're like, I literally can't progress. I have to pay money. If I find evidence of that in this game, I will criticize it contextually in the way that it happens. Right now, I don't see evidence of that. I may change my opinion once I get to the end game. You're saying if that ends up in PvP, it's bad? I've paid to progress, someone else has, and I'm higher level, they're not, I'm winning? No, you're not winning, because PvP in this, the gear is equalized. You can't pay for advantages in PvP in this game. It's not possible. It's literally not possible. I agree with Lono on all this, but the sentiments of Western and Eastern players are different generally, and my evidence in games that have certain store practices based on region. Yeah, and let me tell you something. This game has a natural barricade, and this is why this is so important, and this is why I decided I'm going to disagree with Asmongold. I'm going to disagree with Josh Strife Hayes. I respect both of them, and I think they're great content creators. But it's like, I'm going to disagree with them, and here is why. We, as the players, as the vocal community in this chat, as content creators, we have power to protect the game from the insidious practices. And the challenge of defining that and finding it and criticizing it accurately, it gets more challenging when right out of the gate we're calling it pay to win. Well, what do you think that gives them the right to do? Well, now, people are already calling it pay to win, so just structure the store to be like Genshin. Just structure the store to be more, Eastern, more Asian microtransaction practices. Western, more American culture practices. We don't accept some of those practices. Well, if you call it pay to win from the get-go, you're surrendering your ability to later on be like, no, wait, this is worse than it was at launch. Well, what difference does it make? It's all pay to win. You've taken pay to win and you've made it so broad and so diluted that, let's say in 6 months, they do start to put in insidious practices. If from Jump Street we said, this is fine, this is pay to progress, it's totally optional, people are basically paying to play the game less. That's not a big deal. And then in 6 months, they start to change progression. They start to make it impossible to level up. They start to bring in the gotcha game impact on it. Well, now we're in a position to say, now, wait a minute. You are now taking the game down a road that we don't want it to go. Do you see how you keep yourself in a position of power if you're actually arguing accurately and well from the beginning instead of just broad brushstroke? Oh yeah, it's pay to win. Well, what term are you going to use in 6 months if it gets worse? It's pay to win times 2. What do you mean? What do you mean? You called it pay to win back then. You're calling it pay to win now. The frick difference does it make? The logic doesn't track. I gotta wait until someone punches me in the face to complain they assaulted me. I can't have any sort of preemptive way of calling that behavior out. You know, it's funny because they've got terms for assault and they've got terms for threat because they're different things. So yeah, Larian, for sure. So we would use different terms. We would say the game right now is pay to progress. Okay? It's not pay to win, because pay to progress and pay to win are different things. And then, if in 6 months they start changing the rules and they start adding the insidious practices, you say, no, wait. 6 months ago, it was basically just pay to progress. Now it's not. Now it's something else. That's why you 100% have to, like, call it what it is in the moment. You don't have to wait to claim assault. Okay, well, the lawyers in the room are getting out their pens. Like, the point is there's a difference between saying, I'm going to punch you. That's a threat. Or I come in the room like, I'm really angry. I feel like punching somebody. Whoa, that's scary. That's dangerous. That's not the same as me punching you, right? Or me attempting to punch you, as Eugene is pointing out. So, a game comes in the room and is like, hey, you can buy stuff. Oh yeah, what can you buy? Well, shortcuts and progression items. Oh, okay. Well, that's pay to progress. I don't really like it. I'm not going to spend money on it, but doesn't affect my game. Doesn't really hurt me in a negative way. It's gears equalize in PvP. Okay, whatever. Well, then they're in the room and they're like, yeah, so we just put out a patch and we're going to make it way harder to progress, way harder for you to get loot. And yeah, but don't worry, we have these things that you can buy, these shortcuts you can buy. Like, I don't know, Halo Infinite intentionally giving you crappy challenges, but we are selling challenge swaps. Creating a pain point and then giving you a monetary way out of it. Doesn't affect me except until it does. Yeah, that's exactly right. Once it affects me, and I think it affects the base game, and I think it becomes insidious or nefarious, then it's time to criticize it. Right now, my issue with what's going on is we are using a term only after completely redefining the word win, the word advantage, and then saying, yeah, this game's pay to win. What? What do you mean it's pay to win? That doesn't make any sense to me. You've had to redefine everything just to arrive at your conclusion. That doesn't make... So now I'm confused. What's pay to win? Pay to progress. Okay, so literally every game's pay to win then, virtually, that has these types of things to buy. Warframe is now pay to win. I've never heard anybody say that about Warframe, but now it is, according to your definition. Any game with pay to progress is pay to win. I don't think I agree with you on this. For one, devs rarely listen to community criticism. And two, if they see no criticism or backlash from the community, it gives them the green light for pay to win schemes. Nope. There's plenty of proof in the opposite of what you're saying, and I'm going to tell you about those times. Number one, Destiny's Eververse store was criticized for years. And over the years, they removed the RNG, they gave people direct purchase options, and they informed the community about what could be earned or purchased with Bright Dust and what would be only available for silver. These were all requests from the community. Do you want to know why they do that? Because the more they meet the audience and the community where they are and what they want out of the store, the more likely you're going to spend money in the store. They have a vested interest in not doing the insidious things when we push back on them because it's a threat to their bottom line. I always said this about I've always said this about the frick. I lost my train of thought. Anthem. It was Anthem that I said this about. Everybody saw the early store pictures and freaked the frick out. And I said, listen. Microtransaction stores are a relationship. Supply and demand and customer feedback will always keep them in line. They will. So you can sit here and cry and scream till the cows come home about FIFA. Do you want to know why I know FIFA's not changed its microtransactions? Because the community gives them plenty of reason to not change it. Willing consumers are the reason. Now, let's look. We looked at Destiny. Let's look at Halo Infinite. What did Halo Infinite recently say in a blog post? They're looking and analyzing and completely restructuring their store. Why? 2 reasons. Community feedback and not delivering value. Translation, it's not making us enough money, and the community is basically telling us why. So, I conclude from those 2 anecdotal examples that we have power, and if wielded properly, we can keep microstores in check. We can keep microstores in check. If it's not cosmetic, it's pay to win. No. That's not a logical way of arguing. I forget which one that's called. Denying the injunction. Frick. I don't know which one that's called, but no, that's you can't say that. You can't be like all cosmetics are vanity, and then all non-vanity items are automatically pay to win. But a non-vanity purchase could literally be, I'm trying to think of an example of items you can buy that aren't vanity. Well, if it's not cosmetic, it's pay to win. They also incorrectly, in my opinion, think changing the store will return players. Well, it'll certainly help it generate money on a new season, Eugene. Like, they'll do a new season, the new season will bring people back, and then the store will be in better shape and generate more money. I forget which fallacy that is. It's like, which one is that? It's like if you say that a Japanese person is an Asian, I am not Japanese, therefore I'm not Asian. No, that's not true, because you could be Korean. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I don't think you can say all non-vanity items are pay to win. No, there are plenty of items that can be bought that aren't pay to win, and they're not vanity items. There's so many ways for a player in an MMO to progress further and faster than me and achieve the endgame state, but unless we actually go toe-to-toe, they didn't win anything. You say people are redefining, and then you refute their citation of said definition. What do you mean? What do you mean I refute their citation of said definition? They are taking pay to win, redefining win, and redefining advantage. Because the term was born out of winning against another player in some form of a contest, and that win being easier because of having an advantage over them. They're yanking that out and saying progressing faster is an advantage and getting into further in the game is winning. The frick? That's not what that... No, that's not... You just redefine the entire term and now it's meaningless to a certain degree. Can we clarify? Are people saying progress is winning? Yes, that's what they're saying, Zubair. That's my problem with it. You can redefine winning to anything, and then that means you can call any game pay to win. You could say that winning in Fortnite is looking cooler and having more visual clout. And then that's winning, so Fortnite's pay to win. Why? Because I can buy and make myself look cooler and have more visual clout. Well, you just redefined win. Yeah, you're right, I did, and that's why it's pay to win. Well, I'm redefining progress as winning. So therefore, this game's pay to win. Okay, then Warframe's pay to win. Like, every game with any sort of a progress payment is pay to win. You've now diluted the term. So FIFA is pay to win and so is Warframe. That's so unhelpful. What the frick? We're not having clarity now. Two completely different monetization structures with completely different incentivizations to do it, but they're both the same now. My problem with people's argument on Lost Ark is that just because it's not PvP advantage, it's not pay to win in any way. That's being intellectually dishonest at best. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's intellectually dishonest to redefine win and advantage to suit your argument. That's not how you argue. Redefining terms to suit your argument is fallacious. Are you arguing winning only happens in PvP games? That's what winning means in gamer colloquialisms of pay to win. Pay to win was never born out of Warframe pay to progress. It was born out of paying money to have an advantage to win and beat another player. That's where the term came from. to redefine the term to mean anytime you spend money to progress in a game, that's you winning and beating another player. Beating them at what? Winning what? Beating the game equals winning. The frick? Since when? Since when? I didn't win at Destiny because I leveled all the way up and played a raid. I'm engaging with content and enjoying myself. Well, somebody else, beat that strike before you because they were strong enough to do the Nightfall. They played for 2 straight days. They won. They beat you. What? Okay. In what world did they win? In your mind, I guess. You keep throwing around the definition of pay to win. Why is your definition more true than anyone else's? It's not my definition. It's like the definition of the term, where it came from. It's an etymological study of the term. You study the term's origin and where it came from. And then people are now redefining it to claim something is pay to win, which is a lack of clarity. It's a conflation of categories. Their argument is it's the fallacy of presumption. They presume that their definition is the definition when there's plenty of evidence that it's not. And then they commit the second fallacy of the appealing to definition fallacy. They just appeal to the definition. Definitions are descriptive and not prescriptive, and therefore you can't just apply it and say, yeah, no, this is it. Because the word, like people do this all the time with words, right? So when the Purple Platform removed the term blind playthrough. They removed the term blind playthrough and they said it was offensive to blind people. No, it's not, okay? That's called linguistic homicide because the word blind has a range of meaning and can be used in other contexts, okay? So you can use that term in other contexts to mean completely different things, okay? So what they did was the fallacy of appealing to a definition. They went to one definition, appealed to it, and said, this is what the word means. You can't use it any other way. So double blind test, blind interview, blind corner, these are all apparently offensive, and they're not. It was false virtue from the bottom to the top. So people would clap them on the back. Good for you, Purple. Illogically dragging a word into the street and shooting it in the head. Blind can only mean this now. Stupid and terrible for language and terrible for communication. Just idiocy, okay? This is no different. You're taking a word and you're saying, it's this now. This is what it means. Therefore, this game's pay to win. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. That's not what winning means. No, winning is progress. Winning is beating the game. What? Since when? Since now, because we decided this game is pay to win. What you're trying to say is term of art, the specific usage in a given field of practice. Yeah, my point is now everything is pay to win, and therefore the term now lacks meaning. The term now lacks meaning. Because we're like, well, winning is no longer winning in a competition against another person where there's a winner and a loser. No longer means that. Oh, an advantage no longer means an advantage as in a power that you're able to exert over the other player. No, advantage doesn't mean that anymore either. Winning is progress and advantage is getting farther. Like I said, it doesn't track. Because if you walked up to 2 players that were both level 50 and had a 500 gear score, and one paid for it and one earned it, you'd be like, they've both won. They're winning. They have an advantage over me. You wouldn't say that. But you would say it on the guy that spent the money, would you not? Meaning, is that special pleading? I don't know if that's special pleading. That's another fallacy. You're basically saying, what only matters is with this guy, because he spent money. So he has won and he has an advantage over me. What about the guy that did it on his own? Does he have an advantage over you? Does he have power over you? Has he won? You wouldn't say that. I never said that in another game. I would see somebody who's higher level than me in ESO or higher level than me in Destiny. I was never like, oh, that guy's winning. He has such an advantage over me. Why wouldn't I say that? Because it doesn't make sense. It's nonsensical. We don't talk that way. You're inventing a whole new way of thinking about games. We do not talk like that. You're creating a brand new category and a brand new terminology to basically mislabel a game. Because why? Well, it's negative. It's negative. Pay to progress, it's not negative. So we're going to call it pay to win. Up until this very point, right, we called it pay to progress, but now all of a sudden that the game's super popular, well, we got to chop it down to size, and we're not going to say pay to progress anymore. We're going to say pay to win. Up until this point, I've never seen a single person with any intellectual shred of credibility call Warframe pay to win. Is everybody in chat in agreement then? If you agree with Asmongold, then is Warframe pay to win? Is that a proper use of the term? Just use it for everybody? You're going to use Urban Dictionary to try to prove me wrong? Appealing to definition fallacy. Like, the Urban Dictionary doesn't define reality. Come on. Winning requires a competition with at least one opponent, at least two people or two teams. If it's just a game state or finishing a game for yourself, it isn't a win. It's really simple. Right, you're redefining win. Like, that's not what win means. I've not played Warframe, but Lost Ark is. Warframe has the same structure. You can pay money to bypass like waiting basically and grinding. You can pay money to make it faster. You wait less or play less. Appealing to definition fallacy, but then I'm going to accuse you of redefining. They're two different things. Appealing to definition fallacy is two different things. The appealing to definition fallacy is happening second. Track with me here. They're presuming that their definition is the definition. They've redefined advantage and win to say that, well, winning is progression and advantage is being further than somebody else. We're going to redefine those, all right? We're going to redefine these, and we're presuming that that's the definition. Then, in their actual argumentation, they appeal to that definition in a rigid way. Like, well, no, this is it. This is it. This is the definition of the term now. You're appealing to the definition just as much? No, I am not. No, I am not. I am saying we have different categories, and those categories have been, up to this point, defined as such. And I'm using a prescriptive way of saying that, like, this is why this is pay to win. It's prescriptive, right? You're saying, well, this person has an advantage, and that's giving them an opportunity to win and beat the other person. And this game over here is in a different category. This game over here is pay to progress, Warframe, okay? And what people are doing is they're saying, no, we're going to take this and bake it in over here. And I'm not appealing to definition. I'm actually getting down into the muck and the mire of, like, what actually constitutes winning, what actually constitutes an advantage. So I'm not just like quoting the definition of advantage or quoting the definition of winning. I'm saying in games, the general accepted colloquialism of colloquialism of winning or advantage has never been the way that we're using it now. Why? Because it's illogical. It doesn't make any sense. As soon as you go into any other environment, you don't talk like this. I've never booted up a game and seen somebody higher level than me and thought, that guy is winning. He has an advantage over me. I've never thought that. They've played more than me. But that's the assumption, right? Maybe they haven't. Maybe it's a game like this and they've paid their way to having all that end game gear. But I'm not gonna. But why on earth would I be like, oh, they're winning and they have an advantage over me? You are literally only now talking this way. Why? Because you're suspect. You're suspect. You got bias. I've covered games for 7 years, and I've never had this winning is subjective and progress is winning now. Since when the frick when? 2 days ago or yesterday when Asmongold said it? Why all of a sudden is that the terminology? I've covered video games for almost a decade, and we've never talked like this. Only now we're going to? That seems really suspicious, almost as if you've got a bias or an agenda. So just now today, I was today years old, and winning is progress, and advantage is getting further in the game. What the frick are you even talking about? 6 months ago, we weren't talking like this. Yesterday, we weren't. 2 days ago, we weren't. Last week, we weren't talking like this when we talked about pay to win. Oh, but now, Big Daddy Asmongold is giving you some drawings and some argumentation. So now, all of a sudden, progress is winning. Because why? Reading chat's more frustrating than Souls games. Those are nice glasses. Where'd you get those from? This is a new sponsor. We should probably do some station identification. Listen. I love the people that are disagreeing with me. You're welcome to come in and disagree with me. We've banned one person because he was being incredibly divisive and trying to disrupt chat. Okay. I respect Asmongold. I respect Josh Strife Hayes. I think that they're conflating categories. I think it's unhelpful in the larger discussion about games, and I welcome all of you to tell me how wrong I am. It makes for great television. I'm not angry. I get passionate. It makes for great television. I'm enjoying myself. Truly am. If you've never been here before, hit subscribe and the bell button. Monday through Friday, we are here doing this. Talk show, dialogue, discussion. We got big games coming up. Horizon Forbidden West, Elden Ring. We've been covering Lost Ark. I'll be playing Lost Ark this afternoon. We have 2 guilds now because one filled up so fast. If you're looking for a great place to hang out, this is a great place to hang out. Be sure to hit the like button, right? And be sure to hit the subscribe button. That supports the channel for free. If you want to support the channel directly, my Smashing Pumpkin shirt is from 80s Tees. I know this isn't from the 80s, but they have a whole categories, 80s, 90s, TV shows, movies, Star Wars, Marvel. Use code Lono for 30% off at 80stees.com. Those are disc plates. We are partnered with disc plate as well, and these are Gunner Optics. So you can use glasses, disc plate, shirt commands in chat. Support me by supporting my sponsors. You could also use the Amazon command or use my Amazon affiliate link. Anytime you're going to order something from Amazon, that helps support me. You don't get like a discount or anything. But speaking of discounts, I swear this is the last thing I'm going to promote, and we'll get back to the discussion. Rageless Roast Coffee. It's mine. This is not a sponsor. This is my coffee. The bag's a little worse for wear because I throw it around down here and shove it in your face. We are working through our holiday blend right now. Get Fricked in February. You can use code GETFRICKED to get 20% off our holiday blend. It was the most popular blend in December and November. We're down to the final 70 bags. Once it's gone in February. Okay, so Get Fricked in February. My wife and kiddos ship this to you. It's not a sponsor. It's ours. You're supporting like a small family business when you buy coffee. So a variety of ways to support. Do you like t-shirts, disc plates? Do you need a new pair of blue light blocking glasses or sunglasses? Do you want some coffee? Those are all the great ways to support. If you want to become a paying member, you can get in our Discord, join the community, get involved. $5 a month, you get a badge, emotes in my chat, and then you can get in the Discord and get increased access. Like if you're trying to connect with people to play Elden Ring or Lost Ark or whatever, our Discord is set up for that. So you can click the $ at the bottom of the chat if you want to support me. So we enjoy discussions like this. We do. We have a really, really good time. And we welcome the disagreement. So if I get really hot and fiery, don't feel like I'm trying to like bully you out of the chat. It's just my nature when I have discussions like this. You can't debate with Asmon Josh worshippers because everything they say is truth and everything else is false. I don't believe that because I think there are people that disagree with them that support those guys. Resin, don't like besmirch other communities like that. I don't think that's necessarily true. Question on the coffee: how long does the bag last if it's sealed? I mean, as long as any other coffee you'd buy from the store. You know, when you buy coffee from the store, it wasn't roasted like yesterday, you know? It's vacuum sealed, so it's good for a long time. As long as you're tightening it down and sealing it, it's good after you open it. Coffee beans are grinded. It's ground coffee. Yeah, we order it in bulk, so I can't have like half ground, half non-ground. So it's pre-ground coffee. Resin with a $5 tip. I'm coming in late. Really loving Lost Ark, but starting to get worried about pay to win. Isn't it as pay to win as WoW? And I play that. Thanks for the show. My argumentation is it's pay to progress, and I don't think that that's pay to win. I think pay to progress and pay to win are completely different categories. It's important to maintain those categories so that we can have accuracy and clarity when criticizing a game. I think you're far more able to criticize a game like FIFA for being pay to win, and far more clear and descriptive to describe Warframe as pay to progress. Do you see why that's so important? They're so dramatically different. The minute you do this, you conflate the two categories. You have to end up defining everything after the fact anyway. It's pay to win. Well, how? Well, and Asmon's got to get out charts and draw and do all this stuff to argue. It's like, just call it pay to progress, and we know what that means. Right? You can use the gear you buy in WoW and PvP. Gear is equalized in PvP and Lost Ark. Motasbo says, Rageless Roast is pay to win. Thank you for the 5 spot. Thank you for the 5 spot. I was looking to see. We got some emails. We're going to try and get the coffee to be... Yep, there it is. A coffee order came through. I knew it. Somebody getting fricked in February. 2 bags of Frickmas to we the people. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Jay Oddity says, how to justify the guild versus guild PvP, which is not gear equalized. Surely that's pay to win, even by your definition. You're going to have to explain that to me, Jay Oddity. What's guild versus guild PvP? Is gear not equalized in what is guild versus guild PvP? I was told that all PvP gear was equalized. So what are you referring to? Can you really say pay to progress? Can we say pay to progress when progression is free? Rather, you are paying to progress faster than someone who doesn't. Pay to progress, is it bad? This channel and the back and forth that goes on here is amazing. Thank you. Define win, and then we can argue if it is pay to win or not. Just like everyone else said, winning is subjective, because your idea of winning might not be the same as my idea of winning. But you're doing that my truth relativistic crap. With respect, we can't have a conversation. If everything is subjective and relative, then why even talk? Well, I define winning as looking cool. And to me, this is completely subjective. Looking cool is having a red skin. Therefore, this is pay to win. Because I have to pay in order to win to look red. Like, we're not even having a conversation then. You define it as how you want to define it, and this guy defines how he wants to define it, so he's like, it's pay to win. No, it's not. Like, I love Coke Carnage, but I was like, come on, bro. His video was thoughtful, but it was just like, it is and it isn't, is what he said. It's all depending on how you define the terms. Oh, come on, Co. Come on. Where are the orators of our day? Where are the debaters? What is this? Both can be white crap. Get out of here. I love Co. I don't have anything against Co. But he was like, is it pay to win? He's like, yes. Is it pay to win? No. Get the frick out of here. We don't know anything then. You know? Does this cup have water in it? Depends on how you define water. It's acid. Do you want to drink it? Well, I define water as any clear liquid, so sure. Dead. Oh, I missed some members. Who did I miss? Resin with the membership. Enjoy the dope badge and dope emotes. You are dope and deserve dope stuff. Black Thantos, I'm so sorry. I missed your membership. Black Thantos, welcome to Reforge Gaming. Enjoy the dope badges, emotes. Get in the Discord. You guys are the best. Get a member train going. Come on. Come on, man. Let's see it. Let's see it. I define it as this. Shut the frick up. Your truth. Nonsense. Relativism's gotten us nowhere. In any sector. Coey coming in with another membership. Keeping the member train going. Welcome to Reforge Gaming. Enjoy the dope badge and emote. You're dope and deserve dope stuff. I think people like labeling a game pay to win so they can dismiss it. Like I said, you're suspect, man. It's the hot ticket item. It's a hot ticket item. Every time something's hot, people want to chop it down. What do you think drives cancel culture? Huh? What's the impetus every time for cancel culture? What is it? Whether it's Kevin Hart, me, or Joe Rogan, or Chappelle. What is it? Popular. Oh, look at that. We got to chop that guy down to size. We got to chop that game down to size. Look at the success. Can't have that. No. Got to chop them down. Too big. Listen to the way people talk. Listen to the way they talk. At the top of the directory. Covetous, jealous nonsense. That's not why you should attack something. You should attack it because it's worthy of attack. Destroy something that's worthy of being destroyed. Not because it's big or popular. But 10 years ago, like, well, you're too popular now. We got to go digging into your tweets. You're being successful. Your career's going places. Well, it's time to get out the cancel axe. This is the same thing. Bin with 12 months, all aboard. Here goes the member train. Let's go. Hex is coming on the member train. 4 months. 4 months from Vinny. Welcome back, Vinny. Terrible comparison? Sure, it's a terrible comparison. That's why everybody came for Warframe's head, yeah, and called it pay to win, except nobody did. Why? Why, pray tell? Why, pray tell, did it take 2 years to chop my head off? Why? I wasn't big enough yet. The jealousy fires weren't burning hot enough yet. Nobody's come for Warframe. Nobody's called Warframe pay to win. Why? Because it's not sitting on a 1.3 million concurrent record on Steam. That's why. Valiant with half a year. Welcome back. Why? Why do all these other games with pay to progress get a free pass? And then the minute there's a rising star on the horizon, whoa, not on my watch, boom, pay to win. Sit down. King Keys with 13 months. Lost Ark's better than New World. Yeah, I would say so. New World's got potential, though. Just trust. Just trust. Civilized Creature with 6 months. Good spicy stuff as always. Thank you. I put a lot of work into the show. I put a lot of work in today's argumentation. I was even like researching fallacies last night. I was like, I want to make sure I'm attacking it from this angle. I don't want to make it personal or ad hominem. I've called Warframe pay to win several times and can explain why over 1,000 hours in it. You can define anything as pay to win if you redefine win. You can buy power, in my view. Makes it pay to win. You have a couple of times implied people taking that view are negative. I've never said anything negative about the game itself. Yes, you. So pay to win's positive? You think that's a positive thing? So pay to win, Hilly, is it negative, neutral, or positive? You think it's neutral? You think in this zeitgeist of gaming culture, you think pay to win's neutral? Come on. Pay to win's negative. Nobody's saying pay to win in a positive way. Hey, man, you got to check out this game, bro. It's pay to win. Oh, it's good. What would you define beating solitaire as? Beating solitaire? What do you mean? Like getting to the end? What is... I don't even know. You satisfy the... what's that called? You're doing the same thing, redefining win? No, I'm not. The game's pay to win, but it's just PvE, so who cares? No, I'm not redefining win. You are. I was this many days old when we started defining winning as progress. Bro, I am so winning at Borderlands and Elder Scrolls Online, bro. Oh, man, am I winning. No, you call it progressing. You call it leveling up. Dude, have you won Borderlands yet? Have you won Elder Scrolls? What the frick? We've never talked this way. I've covered video games for over, 8 years. I've covered video games for over 8 years now, and I have never once heard people say that when you progress in a game, that's you winning. Huh? What if you beat a computer at chess? Did you win? Yeah, you have an opponent. It's a contest, and you have an opponent. Yeah, you beat your opponent. You won. There is a competition where both parties have the same pieces and the same rule sets. And just like if you're playing a game of soccer. So if you're playing FIFA, you have the same number of players and the rule sets of the game apply to both of you equally, and you can pay for an advantage and have better players that are faster, more accurate, or whatever the frick, and that's helping you win the competition. So the environment in a game isn't the opponent? No. We've never talked this way. You're trying to paint me into a corner, and it's not going to work because I'm being consistent, and you're being inconsistent. That's the tell that this is bad argumentation. None of these people have ever talked in this way. Oh my gosh, bro. We totally won. It was so good. That strike was so tough, man. So good to have that win today. What? I'm winning. What? No. Oh, I'm beating my opponents. Now, you might say you beat the boss, or you might say you beat the strike, but we've never categorized that as winning. We've never said, yeah, dude, beating a boss in Sekiro is the same as winning at Madden. They're not the same. This is why in Destiny is a good example. PvP is talked about very differently with respect to balance. What? This is so funny, too, because I covered that game for a really, really long time, and what's hilarious is to watch Destiny players conflate these categories. Do you want to know why that's entertaining to me? Because you and me and everybody else with a brain that functions stronger than a potato always argued for what? Split the sandbox, balance them separately. Why? Because winning in PvP ain't the same as beating a raid. They're different categorically, which is why you always asked for a split sandbox. So don't come in here and start talking to me about, well, you're beating the boss and that's your opponent and therefore that's winning. Ergo, power to do that is an advantage over another player. No, it's not the same. You can win versus a boss, but you can't win versus a game. Don't insult potatoes like that. We argued for years for a split sandbox because it's different. Winning in PvP is not the same as the power that it takes to beat like a raid or a strike or something. They're not the same. They're categorically different. And it's incredibly helpful to have them separate in your mind and separate in categories. Why? For clarity of conversation. Oh man, did you win that strike? The frick are you talking about? Did I win? I beat it. Did you win your trials match? Yeah, we did. They're different. They're not the same. You don't do the same things to beat them. The power required to beat them is different. The skill required to beat them is different. You didn't win in Sekiro. Pretty sure I watched you win. It took 5 hours on the final boss. I didn't say that I won. I finished the game, completed the game. I finally beat the final boss. Like, I didn't win. I didn't win. Nobody talks like that. You're creating vocabulary and linguistic practice I've never seen before in gaming because it suits the argument, which is suspect and fallacious. That's not how you argue. You won, Lono. You won against Ishin. No, I beat him. I've never described that as winning. It's not the same. Winning a chess match against another player isn't the same as I'm trying to think of the comparison where you're not playing against an opponent. It's like playing, I guess you could play chess against yourself, like just keep switching sides on the board. Like there is no winning there. You're just practicing, I guess. I don't know. I can't think of another one. Pay to beat, but you're not paying to beat. That's another conflation. You can spend as much money as you possibly want in this game to get gear. You still have to be the one to go beat the content. You can't put in a dollar amount and your character goes through the game and does stuff for you. So again, that's a conflation. Oh, got you. You can't pay to win in this game because you still have to go and play the content and actually be intelligent enough to beat it. You're not paying to win. You aren't. You still have to go and do it on your own. Come on. That's you having to go and do it. And in a PvP game, the reason we said pay to win is because you're paying for an advantage to win against the other person. I said that an hour ago. Sorry, chat's moving really fast. You ain't ever getting a game like Lost Ark to put stuff like this in their games, no matter how many people whine. Not even if you set their buildings on fire would they change these micros. By that definition, nothing is ever pay to win. But again, that's why you have to study the term. The term itself was born out of games where there's a winner and a loser, and you can pay to win. Like, I'm paying money in order to win. That's my motivation. The motivation is I'm paying this money because I want to win. I want to beat this other person. The presumption then is that, like, well, progressing is winning and beating endgame content is winning. And that's why the people are spending the money. No, they might be spending the money because they're short on time and they want to play with their friends and they don't want to get left behind. So they're not paying to win. They're paying to progress. They're paying to keep up with their buds. So you see what I'm saying? The motivation in Madden and FIFA is the same every time. You are paying to win. The incentive, the motivation, the reason for the purchase is I want to be stronger so I can win against other players. Right? And people talk about that all the time. It's insidious. It spreads like a disease. The more times you play against a really stacked team who has clearly spent money, the more likely you're going to feel like the only way I can keep up in this meta of spending is I have to spend money in order to compete. Because I literally can't get those players any other way. The difference in Lost Ark is you can play and get the same results, the same stuff. You can level your stuff, get the same progression. But if you're lacking in time and you want to pay to progress so that you can continue to play with your buddies, you're not paying to win. And no matter how much money you spend in the game, I can get the stuff that you have. That's not true with the card packs in those games because you can't get some of those players unless you literally spend money, and that's the problem. There is no like, oh, I'm going to earn these amazing players and these amazing teammates. It's not a thing. I can earn all the stuff you can buy in this dadgum game. Your entire argument stems from your personal take on what pay to win is, which means everything you're saying is completely 100% subjective. Can you admit that? No, I will not admit that. Nope. No. Because the word we've never used pay to win in this regard. People are only doing it now because they're cheating and they're arguing fallaciously. I'm not arguing fallaciously. I'm taking the definition, where it was used traditionally as a gaming colloquialism, where it was born out of, and I'm saying you don't get to redefine this. Because it causes confusion and it achieves nothing. I am keeping categories where they belong for the sake of clarity. People are conflating categories so they can assign a dirty word to a game. It's pay to win. And what's the result? Now every single dadgum game in existence is pay to win. You've achieved nothing. You've simply muddied the waters and robbed the punch and the potency of pay to win. Because if you really want to get that word out and smack something with it, that's pay to win. You just robbed it of its power, because now anything with pay to progress is pay to win. You've diluted it and harmed your ability to use it as an accurate criticism. So now literally every game, from Warframe to World of Warcraft to Lost Ark to FIFA to Madden, they're all pay to win. And now we lack clarity, we don't have categories, we don't have nuance. Yeah, they're all pay to win. Would you pay to progress? No, I traditionally don't do that. I don't think I've ever done that. If you can't admit your take on this is subjective, then this argument is pointless. Let me say it another way. Arguing that everything is subjective and there is no truth, there's nothing that's objective, everything's relative, that's pointless. If everything is subjective, then what you're saying has no meaning. What you're saying is subjective and therefore is meaningless. If everything is subjective to the person, then how can we possibly have a conversation? I'm going to put a glass of water in front of you, and it's bleach. Well, I define water as a clear liquid. Here you go, man. Here's a refreshing cup of water, and you drink it. What's the problem? Why are you screaming and yelling? Why are you calling the police? It's subjective to me. I mean, come on, man. Water is a clear liquid. What is the problem here? That's how I define it. So, drink up. What you're saying is an erosion of communication. If everything is subjective, then we can't communicate. We literally can't. This whole my truth subjective thing, it's the death of discourse. No one knows which way is up, because you just define it as it suits you. I can call every single game pay to win. I just have to redefine pay to win in order to suit my aims. I've been talking this way for years about newer MMOs. You're missing the fact that if you're not high enough to do one-time events because you didn't pay to progress and you miss out, well, that's FOMO. That's not pay to win. That's a different category. FOMO, don't you see why this is so important? You just outlined FOMO and labeled it pay to win. How freaking confusing is this going to get? Everything is pay to win now, which means it ultimately means nothing. That's FOMO. Fear of missing out and feeling like you have to spend money. We're just going to take all terms and lump them into one? What's the point of that? We can't even have a conversation. What's that game got? Well, they sell skins. Pay to win. What's that game got? Limited time event. That's FOMO. No, that's pay to win. Not every version of pay to win is equal, though. They have a scale or impact factor. Oh my gosh. See, you've watched Asmongold. You're basically quoting Asmongold right now. And here's the problem with that, okay? You're taking a negative buzzword and you're labeling a game pay to win. And then if I happen to watch your video or read your blog or whatever the frick, okay, then I see that, oh, it's this version of pay to win. What's the problem with just calling it pay to progress? What's your issue with that? It's honest, is it not? Pay to progress is more accurately descriptive. It is super truth in advertising. What's in Warframe? Oh, they have pay to progress. What's in Lost Ark? Oh, they have pay to progress. Right? I called it gotcha before Asmon. Don't accuse me of parroting. But it's not a gotcha game, and Asmongold didn't say it was a gotcha game. So what you just described, though, is what Asmongold said. I didn't say you were parroting. I said that's what he said in his video. And you are so categorically wrong about it being gotcha. Even even Josh Drive Hayes and Asmongold would not agree with you that this is a gacha game. This is why I was so hot on you the other day, Hilly. It's a misuse of the term, and it just causes confusion. If this game is a gacha game, it's now lumped in with Genshin. That's unhelpful. That is so unhelpful. It's just as unhelpful as calling Warframe pay to win. It's unhelpful and confusing. It's not clear. It's just like every game is pay to win. Every game's a gacha game. It's gacha light. No, it's not. There is nothing in this game that is even close to what gacha games do. You are literally, not subjectively, you are literally wrong. Gacha games don't work this way. That's my point. Like, this is why I am fighting this so hard, because all it does is lead to a dilution and a misuse of terms. What's the problem with saying pay to progress? Why is that so wrong? It's accurate, it's true, it's not misleading. Why the insistence on pay to win? That's the question. Why the insistence? It's more negative. You have to nuance it and define it after you say it. You're proving my point by saying I view it as a negative. You call it pay to progress. However, the point to monetization is clear. The pain point is time. Oh, but that you've just that's a tautology. You've not said anything. Yeah, the pain point is progress, but the pain point is relative to the player. So it's not an absolute pain point. It's depending on the player that feels like maybe I don't have enough time to keep up with my friends. Maybe they don't care about keeping up with their friends, so it's not a pain point at all. You're being black and white on this. Pay to win is a spectrum with a sliding scale. This isn't new at all. No, it is brand new. It is completely and utterly brand new. I have never seen content creators or intellectual game critics call pay to progress pay to win. They've never done it. They've used pay to not play. I've seen pay to progress. I've seen pay for shortcuts. And pay to win was always reserved for games where you're playing against another person and can pay for advantages to win against them. And now, all of a sudden, we're calling this pay to win. And we're just like, yeah, pay to progress. We're not going to use that term anymore. We're just going to say pay to win. And then we're going to claim that, yeah, this is pay to win, but here's the nuance of it. It's an insistence on a term to be used broadly because it's viewed negatively in the gaming world, when another term is far more accurate and descriptive, but you don't want to use that term because it's not negative. There is a bias in the gaming world. There's a bent. There's a lean toward the negative. I'm serious. I'm dead serious. There's like a sickness in the gaming world. We play games with the intention and the goal of criticizing them. Find the negatives. It's a sickness. And when we find pay to progress, well, label it pay to win, because pay to win's a negative. It's not a new concept at all. People have been talking about this since Ubisoft went hard on the trend, and the gaming community seems to have just missed the cues. Oh, the Tuesday meetings. Pay-to-win game is so easy to point out. Can you buy armor or weapon that's significantly better and is pretty much impossible to obtain by normal gameplay? No, you can't do this in this game. Now, you can go in a roundabout way and use money to buy a currency and then go to currency exchange and get gold and then use the gold in the auction house. But again, the auction house necessitates somebody selling it. And even then, that item can be earned in the game. So it's not an item that is exclusively purchased. Mrs. Bloodhound with 4 months says, woohoo, welcome back. Redefining terms is a tactic of people who know they can't win an argument. That's why it just makes my spidey sense tingle. I'm like, this is like the new norm now. We just redefine terms so we can win arguments. This happens in public discourse every other day. And when it starts happening in gaming, I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. What no? That's not what that means. Removing it would improve the game, the whole reason for the criticism. It would. Another fallacy. That's a fallacy, Hilly. This game is really grindy. This game has microtransactions to speed up progress. Therefore, if you remove B, A would no longer be true. No, that's not true. That's another fallacy. Just because you remove B doesn't mean it would remove A. The game could still remain incredibly grindy and long. Why? Well, they want logged hours. They want you in the game longer. They want you to play for longer periods of time. Look at, I don't know, Halo Infinite. Look at the way they've drugged their game out. Why? They want you logging in. Why? The more you log in, the more likely you're going to spend money on a cosmetic. There's no pay to win there. And yet, the absence of pay to win doesn't make it not grindy. Halo Infinite is incredibly grindy. Extremely grindy. And yet there's no pay to win in Halo. So the absence of pay to win didn't make Halo better. Halo Infinite's also cosmetics only. Thank you for agreeing with the point that I'm making. The absence of pay to win didn't make Halo less grindy. Ergo, the absence of pay to progress in this game wouldn't automatically make the game better. It wouldn't fix the grind. It wouldn't make the grind faster. That's a fallacy. You can't. That's illogical to say. Premise A, this game is grindy. Premise B, this game has progression shortcuts that you can spend money on. If you remove B, you remove A. No, you don't. That's not true. The game could still be insanely grindy even if you removed purchasable progress shortcuts. Because Halo Infinite is not pay to win, and yet it's still grindy. Like, there's plenty of games that are super grindy and you can't pay to shortcut. Right? Destiny, you can't pay to level your character faster, right? When they increase the cap and you got to go chase gear and you have like your weekly drops and all that crap, you can't spend money to bypass that. So the absence of pay to progress there doesn't make the game less grindy. The grind is still there. Zubair. I'm in love with the Halo Infinite campaign. It was really good. I wish I would have had an opportunity to finish it. I've just been too busy. They've added crap too. The boosts, which I said were trash on the Halo Insider forum I submitted. You have to wait for it to drop, but they'll drop a bundle. No. Unless they've changed it completely and entirely, the boosts you can buy in Destiny only get you to a certain point. The new power grind of a season or a DLC cannot be bypassed with money. That is simply untrue. And it's still incredibly grindy. Do you understand the point that I'm making? The point that I'm making is the absence of pay to progress does not automatically mean a game is not grindy and therefore better. Number one, you're arguing for an ideal. What's your ideal? Hilly's premise was, if you remove these pay-to-progress elements, the game would be better. Define better. Define better. So, in your mind, that would automatically mean they would make the endgame less grindy, and that's automatically better? Why? Why is that better? It's a grindy MMO game. Isn't that part of the value? Isn't that part of the gameplay and part of the content loop? Destiny boosts only work on alt characters. You still need to grind one character to that level. Destiny Season 2 pass gets you XP faster. XP doesn't affect your gear level, though. XP just moves the battle pass along. Equal playing field would allow gear to be used in PvP. And you think that's better? I don't agree. I think an equalized PvP is good no matter what. Even if you didn't have pay to progress, Hilly, they would still equalize PvP. More than likely. Because the power level advantages in New World created tons of problems. You couldn't flag for PvP after 2 weeks because everybody was running around as a 60. So the power level advantages, the non-equalized PvP environment of New World, made flagging for PvP a dadgum nightmare for late adopters. So you could argue that that's not as good. So much reaching in chat to try to spin it as pay to win. Someone else asked this, so I'm stealing it. What would a pay to win PvE game look like? You'd have to have competitions against other people that were like PvE. Then it's not PvE. That's what I'm saying. Like, you're not winning. Like, as soon as there's a competition and there's a winner and a loser, that's when pay to win applies. It's like it's an immediate snag. The minute I try to define it, I have to create an environment where there's a winner and a loser in a competition. PvE games are the absence of that. It's just you playing through the game. XP levels your artifact, which grants a power bonus in some activities. Not trials. And yes, an Iron Banner. I thought that I don't follow that game anymore, so I don't know if they've removed it from both. A world's first competition, is that PvP? You could probably argue that, but again, that's a community-driven thing. And if they officially had a world's first race and an actual competition where they awarded the winners with a bunch of cool stuff and prestige and all of that, then you could argue that instance would be pay to win. Because people could have paid to gotten, their guys all the way leveled up or the best gear or skipped grind or whatever. Now, that doesn't mean, though, that, like, if everybody... So think of it like this way. If a really, really good team spend a bunch of time, grind, and they've got all the best gear, and then this team pays for all the best gear, they're still, in my mind, they're still on a level playing field, and the winner would be the better team. Right? Now, you'd be like, oh, but that's not fair. We didn't have time to grind, and we didn't spend any money, therefore that team has an advantage over us. Yes, that would be true. In that case, you could say that was an element of pay to win. But I don't know if anything like that even exists in this game. But again, I do think when it comes down to these types of games, the better team wins. Then why does the clarity in the terms actually matter? When it's the practice itself that's being attacked? Because Eugene, it's a lot harder to argue against pay to progress. It is. It's harder to argue against pay to progress. You have to create a well-structured logical argument. It's easy to be like, it's pay to win. And as soon as you label it that, most of the argument's over because you've labeled it something nasty. Right? It's like calling somebody, you're a hateful such and such, right? Add phobic to the end of a word, and there you go. Argument's over at that point. Rather than actually, through nuance and reason and logic, argue that the person is in fact hateful, it's easier to label them. And then no one has to listen to them, or no one even has to listen to you. You just label them, and that's kind of the end of the matter. That's how argumentation happens now in the public square. That's why I'm so hotly against it, because I think it's damaging to discourse and discussion. To just use a negative word that is being so conflated and loosely applied, instead of just being like, it's pay to progress. Well, that's bad. Why? Well, I'm just used to asserting things on the internet. Well, argue. Why is pay to progress bad? Where's the problem? I didn't find any argumentation. Both Josh Strife Hayes and Asmongold, they didn't argue why it was bad. They were trying to argue that it was pay to win. Do you see the difference? Right? You see the difference, right? I didn't see a single instance where they said it was bad. It was merely that it is pay to win. They were trying to support the definition of sorts. Like, this is our definition. Like, this is a pay to win game. Why? Because it's assumed that pay to win is bad. So they don't have to argue that it is bad. All they have to do is convince you that it's pay to win, and they're done. All I have to do is convince you that such and such a person is blank phobic, and then I'm done. I don't have to go down and break down their views, their philosophy, their worldview, their religion. I don't have to do any of that. I don't have to convince you they're hateful. I just have to label them as hateful. And I'm done. MRI guy with a $5 tip. Pay to progress in a PvE game is a form of pay to win for that type of game. Because if progressing isn't winning in a PvE, then what the heck is winning? But again, MRI guy, prior to today, I have covered tons of PvE games. Borderlands, Division, Destiny, Diablo, Warframe, and I've never once had people tell me that I'm winning as I progress. I've never had anybody say, you won. You hit level cap. I can't wait to come back tomorrow and win some more. No, it's, man, leveling up is really satisfying. Content loops, dope. What did I say in New World? Oh, dude, leveling is so painful. It's so hard to progress. I wasn't like, bro, I just keep losing at New World. I just can't win. I've never talked like this. I've never heard anybody talk like this. Bro, man, I'm going back into New World tomorrow. I found a really great way to win. Win what? Oh, there's a leveling exploit. Then just, what the frick? Say leveling. Why are you saying win? Who the frick talks like that? Nobody talks like that. Nobody thinks in those categories. You're creating a whole new spectrum of thought so you can say it's pay to win. It's just greedy and shouldn't be in gaming. They got us to bend to make cool cosmetics pay to get. I don't think we gamers should bend anymore to these publishers. I mean, creative monetization structures are needed, though, Kill You. It's an economic reality that these companies need monetization structures to sustain the games that we play. How the frick do these games keep going? There's no subscription fee. The game is completely free to play. It's completely free to play. You don't have to spend a dime to go in and play it. They got to make money somehow. Vanessa, you are digging way too deep down into my analogy. That's not, no. I'm not even going down that train of thought with you. My analogy was that in public discourse right now, people tend to use and grossly misuse categories and labels consistently because it's just a whole lot easier to do. There it is, the free-to-play plot armor. They chose for it to be free-to-play. That's not free-to-play plot armor, Eugene. Don't rip my commentary out of context, because that is incredibly disingenuous, and you're smarter than that. I was responding to somebody saying that micros, they've bent us over and they've tricked us. No, it's an economic reality that ongoing monetization structures are needed for live service games. That was the point I was making. I was not doing the it's free to play narrative armor. Don't you dare, as intelligent as you are, start repackaging my arguments like that, because that is not what I said. I did not say this is all fine, wave of the hand, free to play. That is not what I said. I said it's an economic reality. These games need new, more creative monetization structures. For an ongoing live service game with zero subscription fee, you need something to generate revenue. I didn't say everything in the game is fine because it's free to play. I added it on at the very end. I said, it's free to play. Come on, they got to make money somehow. I wasn't saying that everything they're doing is fine because it's free to play. It's an economic reality and you know it. You are smart enough to know that this is a reality. The reality is that monetization structures for video games have to continue to get creative. Why on earth do you think Sony's looking at doing 10 live service games? Why? Because the big, huge, giant budget, here's a game, that's the end of it, that era is leaving. It's leaving. It's going away. It's too expensive. Can you trigger Lono more? This is good listening. Well, yeah, that gets me hot real quick when people repackage my argumentation. Misrepresenting me is, woo! Don't you misrepresent me. I was misrepresented by an entire community. So it's a sensitive subject when I get misrepresented. James with a $10 tip. Pay to win for me would be like the cash shop has gear with set bonuses or weapons that are vastly better than anything you'll get by playing. No need for endgame, just go buy God gear day one. So what people would say to you, James, is, so if I'm Hilly, if I'm going to argue for Hilly, Hilly would say, you can do that. You can buy royal crystals and use currency exchange to get gold, and then you can go to the auction house to buy some of the best gear. That's what Hilly would say. That's what people on his side of the fence would say. I find that argument to be less compelling and not very strong for one simple reason. I can go earn all that gear myself. I don't have to buy it. Which is the point you were making, right? Like if it's earnable in the game, then like if it's something that you can buy and nobody else can get it, then that's a problem, right? The value of it is derived from the fact that you have to buy it. You have to get it from the store. That's the problem. So, yes, you can buy anything. Like, I knew Hilly was going to say that. That's his position. I'm trying to be fair. Like, that would be his position, is that, no, you can spend real money and you can buy basically anything in the game. And he is, to a certain degree, he is correct in saying that. But my problem with it is that it's not a great representation. Let's see, hang on. Last week was okay. I don't think it's the right representation of the situation because it's built on the premise and the precipice that like somebody had to go and earn the gear and sell it. So somebody went and earned it and is selling it. It's not like you can just go to the store and be like, oh yeah, there's an unlimited quantity of endgame gear here. No, it has to be earned by somebody else and therefore then sold. Do you see what I'm saying? And if you don't feel like buying it or spending real money, you don't have to. Look, the fact of the matter is, and this is something that I think is a weak point in Hilly's argument. You have to go through like 4 steps to do that. They don't put that in front of your face. They don't. If they were selling gold, then I think Hilly's argument would be significantly stronger. Why? There's power right there in the auction house. Super dope, awesome endgame gear. Aw, shucks, I don't have enough. Hey, right here in the micro store, just buy yourself some gold, sucker. No, if you look at the store and the way that it's structured, that's not an incentive system. You're incentivized to buy royal crystals, or maybe you have some of these purple ones that you earn in the game, and then you can buy all these different items. It's not something that they're pushing. They're not pushing it. They're not like, oh yeah, brother, just buy gold and then you can buy everything in the game. Pay to win. No, it's like almost like hidden from the player. They're not trying to get you to do that. Buy some crystals and summon some good gear. They do sell gold. You can convert any currency. You don't think whales are going to find that? Right, but that again, Hilly, that is not something that the game developers are promoting and pushing. That's something that whales are doing of their own volition, of their own choice. Are Asmongold is brigading the stream? What do you mean? Are people going to the subreddit? And what do you mean brigading? I didn't ask anybody to do that. Don't do that, guys. Don't go break Reddit rules. You're just going to get your thread shut down. Prodigy with the $5 tip. If you change your mindset, play for your enjoyment, then you won't ever see the pay to win aspect. You can buy gold from other players. What's up? Yes. I was hoping that it would work really well. Yeah. Good gift? Yeah. I nailed Valentine's Day gift. I did it. I got a good one. Somebody recommended another brand that was like cheaper or whatever. No. I couldn't remember what the brand was, and the reviews were so good with the Ember mug. I was like, I'm just going to get it. And I thought the color was nice too. Guys, I'm gonna tell you something. We're gonna be shifting to Lost Ark gameplay pretty soon here. And yeah, please don't do that. We did not request anybody do that. I just kicked off the day. I logically and sort of intellectually broke down Jostrife, Hayes, and Asmongold's arguments. I respect the heck out of those guys. I think they're smart. I think they're passionate. I think they're good dudes. I think they argued from a place of integrity and honesty. I don't think either of them were like underhanded or anything like that. I did not ask for anybody to do that. Don't do that. If somebody's streaming and you go to like a subreddit and you want to like promote their stream, that's you're not allowed to do that. Well, you're not allowed to brigade your thread. I don't know about the Asmongold like subreddit. Do they allow you to promote streams and content? Will we still argue pay to win while you play? Sure. If you guys listen. If you've enjoyed the show, do me a favor. Hit subscribe, hit the bell button, hit the like button. All right. We have had a huge day today. Lots of new subscribers. I'm happy to meet you. I'm happy to disagree with you. You'll notice something. Most of the people in chat disagreeing with me have green names and a joystick next to their name, meaning they're a paying member, okay? They're calling you an idiot? Oh, I don't care. That's par for the course, right? If you don't agree with me and you call me an idiot, you want to resort to ad hominem attacks. Like, you're not representing Asmongold very well because he wouldn't do that, right? Idiot wants to argue against Asmon and Josh. Oh, they actually is a thread about me. Idiot wants to argue against Asmon and Josh Strife Hayes at the pay-to-win discussion. Link to live stream. According to him, Lost Ark isn't pay-to-win because progressing faster in PvE isn't winning. He also suggested that both Asmon and Josh Strife Hayes say the game is pay-to-win to farm attention and clicks. No, I said the opposite of that. I did not say that. I said... Go back and find the clip. That is dishonest. I did not say they were doing it for farming clips. I intentionally broke my train of thought and said, I don't think they're doing this for clicks. I think they have integrity. I said that. I said, oftentimes people will use pay to win to farm clicks on Reddit and Twitter. And then I interrupted myself and said, to be clear, I do not think that Asmon and Josh Strife Hayes are doing that. I think they're arguing from a place of integrity. They believe it in their heart. I said that. Go find the dadgum clip. Yeah, and Josh Strife Hayes is a friend. He knows that I wouldn't do that or say that. The evidence is in this VOD. I made specifically sure, because I know how you freaking Reddit trolls work. I know how you work. I'm 10 steps ahead of you playing 3D chess. I knew you would do that when I started saying what I said. So I stopped myself and I clarified, you dishonest frick. You won't be able to keep up with me in an argument, so you go and misrepresent me on Reddit because you're a coward, whoever made that thread. The frick out of here. I intentionally said that those two gentlemen did not do it for clicks, that they genuinely believed it. Get out of here. Come in here and argue with me and try to hold your own. Don't run to Reddit like a coward and misrepresent me. You're not representing Asmongold very well. If that's a subreddit for him, you aren't representing him very well by going there and being dishonest and calling me an idiot. Because he wouldn't do that. He wouldn't do that. Hey, we got another coffee order. 3 dark roasts. Is this? Yeah, I knew it. Hashtag Team Dark Roast Zubair. You the man. Thank you very much. Just don't lower yourself. I'm not lowering myself, but that's cowardice. That's cowardice to run to Reddit and misrepresent me, because I made sure to definitively. I knew somebody was going to do that. So, because I've been doing this a long time, I stopped myself midstream, mid-thought. Midstream. No pun intended. I stopped myself mid-thought and said, I don't believe that Josh Strife Hayes and Asmongold are doing that. I don't believe they're farming clicks. These gentlemen are intellectually sharp, they're smart, they're passionate, and they were arguing from a place of true belief and passion. They were not farming clicks. I made sure to say that at that point in the stream. So I don't take low blows and I don't take swipes. Certainly not against those two guys, because I think they're very smart, and I think they're some of the guys that you can they've got trustworthy good content. I think they're worth subbing to. They're worth listening to. They're good creators. Half a year from Mithrax. Using pay to win is such a charged term. I had this argument at work with someone who said it must be a comm issue. What do you mean by that? It must be a comm issue? What? Paying to advance is garbage as well, especially for new content. I agree with you, Lono. You're right, but personally, as a gamer, I hope that most games buying cosmetics is as far as they go. I 100% get that. Kill you. I do. I 100% get that. I do. I do. So, and don't stoop to the level. Don't stoop to the level. I mean, I know I called the guy who did it a coward and a frick, but I think the shoe fits. Like, that's cowardly to do that. It's a communication issue? Is that what you mean? Oh, like networking stuff. Networking stuff. I don't understand what you mean. I don't. Here's what we're gonna have to do. I'm gonna take a quick break. Well, our viewership's going up and down because everyone's running to Reddit. Don't go to Reddit and be rude or nasty or brigade against the thread or whatever. Don't stoop to his level. I called him a coward and I called him a frick because the guy that made the thread, I think the shoe fits. But don't go beyond that. Okay? Don't go beyond that. To go and run to Reddit and misrepresent me and to mislabel me and to misrepresent my argument is cowardice. And so calling someone a frick is pretty low on the spectrum. But don't go further than what I did. If he wants to go call me an idiot and misrepresent my argumentation, that's totally fine. Don't stoop to that level. Because again, I don't think Asmongold would want somebody doing that on his subreddit. That's not how he argues. So, all right, I'm gonna take a quick break. We're gonna transition into some gameplay shortly. We do have 2 guilds. If you're looking for a guild, right? If you're looking for a guild, we've got 2 set up because the first one filled so dadgum fast. So if you're looking for a guild in this game, stick around, hit the like button. Likes are lacking. The views were really, really high today, but boy, the likes are lacking. Let's skyrocket above 300 likes. Consider becoming a member, ordering coffee, using the shirt command, using the display command, or maybe the glasses if you want to get some gunner optics. Yeah, no, good discussion, Hilly. Good discussion. All right, I'll be right back. Oh, and you might see some ads when I step away. That helps support the stream as well. Okay. Oh. All right, sorry, I'm back. Whew. Easy decision, just don't play anything with pay-to-win mechanics, and if the money goes beyond cosmetics, then I usually stay away. Pay-to-progress is zero problems, unless I'm both playing and agreed to compete. Right. What's Mystery Cast Theater Stream? It's a new segment we're trying out, so Split Screen is going to start getting more casting-oriented content, and the reason we're doing that is because... The reason we're doing that is because we found that the news just wasn't performing the way that we wanted it to. So we're going to try and give that channel basically just nothing but casting style content. So I tried something brand new, and I hope you guys enjoy it. It'll premiere this afternoon. So we had such a huge turnout today, and... Creature, are you looking on the back end? It doesn't make any sense. We had a huge day, tons of subs. They're doing something again. They're doing something again. Something's not right. It's going to be one of those things where all of a sudden that number goes crazy, because that can't be the right number. We've gotten almost 40 brand new subscribers, and we maintained well over... Suggests there, search there. Search is kind of low. Maybe that's why. I don't know. Something's not right. It'll show later. Has it been stuck for you? It's like stuck at like 239 something. 2395, I think. It's just like, I think it's been stuck like that for like the last 30 minutes. Kind of like Mystery Science Theater. Yeah. Mystery Shoutcast Theater is. I came up with that. I was like, oh, this might be kind of funny. Because the one day when I was like making fun of the, not making fun of, but like poking at the, what was it? It was the Dying Light 2 trailer, and people thought it was so funny, and it kind of came to me, and I was like, maybe I could do something like that with casting. So be sure to tune in this afternoon over on Split Screen. It's been stuck for about an hour. Okay. So that's encouraging then, because I looked and I was like, that can't be right. We were absolutely soaring, and it's just been stuck. Well, no, it just moved to 2412, so it's not stuck. It just is moving really slowly. That's so odd. I don't know. Mobile showing 355. Oh yeah, we took a break. And when you take a break, it tends to slow things down. But like we had just such like really, really good viewership the entire time. It should be much higher. It should be much higher in the total. So YouTube must be doing something. I'm not worried. I'm not worried or like stressing. We've just constantly been kind of monitoring YouTube because they're doing weird things with live streams. So we're always like, hey, if you guys are having to refresh, we're really sorry. It's not us. They've been doing stuff on the front end, and now it seems like they're doing something on the back end. Blue Bandit with a $5 tip. Good morning, homie. You're the only streamer I support financially when I can. Great content as always. Keep it up. Thank you, Blue Bandit. I saw 430 at one point. Yeah, anytime we can hold 400 viewers for a while, that's huge. And right now, the total count looks like a, you know, like when we do gameplay and there's like 200 something people here, and we get about the same. So it's like something's off. Something's off. Again, because I think they're doing something. I think YouTube's been doing stuff. I am not stressed. I'm very pleased that we got a ton of new subs, ton of new folks here today. I saw so many names in chat I did not recognize. That's awesome. I get really jazzed when I see that. A lot of new members as well. And member renewals. Three new members and member renewals and coffee orders. Like just stellar morning. Banger of a morning. 3 coffee orders, I think? Yeah, 3 coffee orders. We like to round that out because then we can use the labels more evenly. So, if anybody wants to be the 4th order of the day. What's Distorted saying here? You can do much more egregious boosting of characters and gear in more, if not most, mainstream MMOs, and it's normal there and mostly accepted. Are you guys saying Lost Ark is doing something these others aren't? hate even though it's free to play. You have to pay those other games and their subs. Now, I think Distorted's asking a very, very good question. Like, and I think the one guy was saying that. I think was it you, Corver? Is Corver still around? I think he was saying that, no, Lono, this has been a debate for a long time in other MMOs. Something suspicious in Evil Porter. Seems like a reason why all have been busy lately. What's going on there? Resident Evil Biohazard Portal? Huh. Looks like they're getting ready to do something. Didn't they say like Capcom was hinting at doing something? What is that? Options, retry or load, controller setup, brightness adjust, video settings. I'm not sure what that second one's supposed to be, Eugene. Beating the game to win, beating the computer, it's okay. If you don't like the answer, it's still the same. That was me that said that? Yeah, Corver said it too, Sir Mayhem. You both were saying the same thing. The pay to win's a spectrum, not an absolute. We've tossed this around for a while. And it's just, it's my position, Corver, that it's better to say pay to progress and then critique it within that category. Does that make sense? I think saying, yep, these games have pay to progress, and then critique it within that category. And then when something has pay to win, critique it within that category. What is it? Can you buy weapons? Can you buy power? Does it make you stronger than another player? Can you beat them? Can you win a match? Can you win a game? Can you win whatever? Like, that's been my take all morning, is that I think we're conflating two categories, and it makes it hard to know, because I think you would agree with this. There's a giant chasm of difference between I'll use your terminology. The pay-to-win spectrum is more severe and worse in FIFA than it is in Lost Ark, right? I think you would say that. I think that's fair. I don't want to speak for you, but I think you would say that. And I think they're so far apart that they don't belong in the same category. As I did with, like, you wouldn't call a cheeseburger a chicken nugget. Like, yes, it's a circular piece of meat, but they're so far removed from each other and different. Calling them that would be silly. I don't know. I don't like seeing categories and terms conflated and combined, because I think I smell this and sniff this out in so many other areas, you know? I'm not kidding you. This sounds like a big jump over a building, but this is exactly the problem with the Me Too movement. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. We're going to take this really awful, horrible word, and we're going to use it for basically everything. Right. There's this giant spectrum of, like, sinister criminal who gets thrown in jail and a guy made you uncomfortable. But we use the same blanket word for all of it. So, like, you know what I'm saying? Like Aziz Ansari is equal to the guy that is in jail right now, the horrible guy that was in movies. That's unhelpful, right? It's the same thing with pay to win. It's like, pay to win, it's big negative connotation. Whoop! I knocked coffee down. It's big negative connotation, and you've got pay to progress, and then you've got FIFA card packs. They're not one and the same. So, like, they don't belong. They don't belong in the same category. I'm dead serious. I feel like I see this. I feel like I see this everywhere. It's extremely misunderstood. No, it's an egregious, awful thing that has damaged more lives than repaired them. It's not misunderstood. It's a weaponized. It's just weaponized gossip. We haven't criticized the system. We've only argued over labels. See, and I made that point a little bit ago, Robert. I said neither of these gentlemen argued the goodness or the badness of it. They were merely arguing that it's pay to win. Why? Because if they convince you it's pay to win, it's automatically assumed that is bad. Do you see? All I have to do is convince you it's pay to win. And if I do that, I don't have to argue how good or bad it is. people hear that, and then that's all they need to hear. Yeah, it's pay to win. Yeah. Really big YouTubers that are really smart said it's pay to win. I don't need to put any more thought into it. Neither of them argued the goodness or the badness of it. Let me see how much you understand it. I understand what the term believe women was born out of, and now it's used to mean believe without inquiry, which is reckless and stupid. It's the antithesis to justice. It's thoughtless idiocy. It was born out of people that were trying to get help and couldn't, and now it's been completely and utterly abused, which is just ironic from the bottom to the top. Josh Strife says he hates saying it's pay to win because people think it's trash when it's not. Literally his opening statement. No, and that's why I said these guys have integrity. I'm not trying to besmirch what they're doing. What I'm saying is that that's why I don't like it. People see the thumbnail, people see the title, and they're like, those guys are really big and smart. They say it's pay to win. And it's like, according to the definition that they came up with, sure, but pay to progress is way less negative. And most people would shrug that off. If both those homies made videos that said it's pay to progress, nobody would have cared. They'd be like, that's fine. That's fine. We don't care. Who cares about that? I'm not going to pay to progress. I'll just play. Or some people would have been like, oh, that's great. I can't play as much. Half a month from Minch Tree, taking the day off after the Super Bowl, enjoying some lively convo. Thank you for half a year, Minch Tree. Appreciate the 6 months of membership. Yeah, see, now you're going down a category that I wasn't going down. So you're not interacting with what I said, because that's not what, yeah. Talking about somebody not understanding the movement. That particular offense is not what the movement was about. So strange to accuse me or others of misunderstanding it, but you seem to grossly misunderstand it, and we're done talking about it. Good intentions can lead to bad consequences. History teaches you that. I don't think any of this comes down to good intentions. I think it comes down to, when I looked at it, this is what I thought. There are going to be things in Lost Ark that deserve criticism. Okay? I think we're going to potentially, I'm not saying it's automatic, I think we will potentially short circuit those criticisms if out of the gate we're mislabeling the game. Does that make sense? Let's take it into another realm. Let's take it into another realm. If you've got let's say a leader of something, let's say it's like a principal at a school, and there are like legitimate criticisms about his leadership. I went from getting 2 to 4 notifications a day to getting 1 for every single comment. Yeah, I don't know why that's happening either. I made an alternate account to hang out in the server, and I get notified every time something happens. I don't know what happened, Derek. We didn't change anything. We didn't. Like, I made a secondary account because I have to hang out in a voice chat with Hilly for Friday nights, and I was getting nonstop notifications. I was like, I don't understand. It was like, you were mentioned. I was like, no, I wasn't. No one's even mentioning this account. I didn't change anything on my end to cause that. It's got to be something that updated in Discord. Go to notification settings and turn it all off. Because they must have pushed out an update that did that. I don't know why. you know? I had to turn off notifications because it killed my phone battery. Discord doing Discord things. Yeah. It's not gacha and it's not pay to win. Spend time criticizing the system's not the definition. Right, like that's the point is, let's go back to the example that I was giving. If you had a principal that he was doing bad things in his leadership, but let's say you mislabeled him as being prejudiced or something, and everybody started wailing on him about that, and it wasn't accurate and it wasn't true and there was no substance to it, right? What that would do then is it would cloud and potentially harm the legitimate criticisms later on down the line. Well, he's been reckless with the budget. He's late every day, right? He leaves early every day. Those are legitimate criticisms, but you know what happened? Oh yeah, aren't you the person that said he was a this and that? Yeah, okay. This sounds like you're just out to get him. Right? You understand the point that I'm making? Like, if you make good, sound, direct, precise criticisms of things in the game, instead of using some big, huge buzzword label, that's more productive. I did this all the time with Destiny, and I got accused of being a Bungie apologist. I got accused of that all of the time. And I was like, no, make a good and accurate criticism, not one that's just going to get you a bunch of clicks on Reddit. Like, people do that all the time. Like, well, they put way more items in the Eververse than in the season. They care more about the Eververse. And I was like, okay, quantitatively you're correct, but qualitatively you're grossly incorrect. Are you going to count ghost projections and emotes as substantive items? Right? Make good criticisms, because if not, then we just look like a whiny rabble. You know, this game is pay to win. And then in 3 months, when we actually try to make good, legitimate criticisms, maybe they make a change to a system, people are going to be like, yeah, but aren't you those YouTubers and those Redditors that said the game was pay to win when it really wasn't? Come on. Well, you guys just blow everything out of proportion. I don't care what you can buy. As soon as you draw your wallet in a game, I'm thinking about the kids on my school that literally bullied each other over not having a cool skin in Fortnite. Well, sure. And that's what I said. I said, if you're going to redefine it, I could define it as, you know, winning in Fortnite is having all the greatest skins and having that cultural clout, right? That's winning. Well, then you could say that game is pay to win then, because I can pay money to win, to look the best, to look the coolest. Because we can't have every class in the guild. Which would you prefer? I got to level for your guild and help out the most? I don't understand that question. I feel like it's missing words. Which would you prefer? I got up to level for your guild to help the most? Because you can't have every class in the guild. Which would you prefer? Are you asking me, do I have a preference of which class you level up to get into the guild? Is that what you're asking? What style of game is Lost Ark? Top-down isometric dungeon crawler, kind of, is the mechanism by which you move around and do stuff, and it's an MMORPG. Is Lost Ark pay to win? I haven't gotten in depth with the game yet. I am calling it pay to progress, because from where I sit historically in the gaming community, pay to win as a term was reserved for games where you were playing against another player and winning. And paying money would aid you in winning. And in this game, paying money aids you in progressing, which I don't think it's helpful to redefine winning as progression. If you're just going to constantly redefine winning as anything that can be paid for in a game, then every single game is now pay to win. I've never heard anybody say that Warframe is pay to win because you can pay to progress in that game. I've never heard it. We're suddenly now doing this. It's a new concept. Now, Corver and Sir Mayhem were correcting me and saying this is an ongoing debate in MMOs, that paying to progress is a form of pay to win. Okay, well, fine. Even if it's an ongoing debate, I still think if you do like an etymological study of the term itself, like where did it come from? Where did it originate from? Why do we even have the phrase pay to win? What did it come from? Games where there's a winner and a loser. And when you spend money, it helps you be the winner. And then the loser is incentivized to spend money, right? That's where the term came from. So I don't think it's helpful to create a broader category to include pay for progress or pay for convenience and lump that into pay to win. I think it's unhelpful. I think you muddy the waters and you, ironically, dilute the term pay to win and you take its potency away. We should only say pay to win when it's legitimately measurable. You're paying, you're winning, it's a huge advantage, it's bad, it's nefarious. It has potency. If you're only using it for FIFA and you're only using it for Madden, well, it's not really going to have potency if we're calling every dadgum game pay to win. It loses its punch. It's like, well, then every game's pay to win, so why even say it anymore? The question would then be, I guess, is, are there micros? Yeah. Is it just for vanity items? No. Well, it's pay to win. It's a big old debate, says Corver. I tend to agree with you on it's a split item, pay to win versus pay to progress. For what it's worth, I'm not a fan of either system. And here's the thing. I was never once saying that this system is fine or good. It could have pitfalls. It could have things about it that are insidious and nefarious. And you're going to get a lot more traction if you say, as a system of pay to progress, these are some of the things they're doing that we don't feel is good. These things are not good. But if you just label it as pay to win, it's like, well, then that's kind of the end of the debate. You're just labeling it pay to win. That's just generally accepted as a negative, bad, predatory, insidious thing in gaming, and that's just kind of the end of the discussion. Which is, like I said, even Josh Strife Hayes was like, oh, I don't really want to call it this because it's a good game. I don't want people to think it's a crap game or a bad game because I'm saying it's pay to win. People are just screaming pay to win because it holds some form of malice because they don't know how to articulate their point of view and criticize the systems. It's laughable. Yeah, I don't think necessarily Asmongold criticized the system. He just used the system to establish, like, this is pay to win. He wasn't saying, I don't think he once said it's good or it's bad. I think he was saying this is pay to win. You want supports or tanks, DBPS in the guild? Inc, I couldn't tell you, my man. Pick what you want to play as, because you're going to be more likely to want to play and grind and contribute to the guild. That's what I would say. Which are you more drawn to? Pick that. Because the more you play and the more you grind and the more you do, the better the guild is. So, like, I want you to pick your favorite, because then you're more likely to play and contribute. I don't even know. We have 30 members. I couldn't tell you what the breakdown is right now between support, dips, and tank. I couldn't tell you what our breakdown is. I've not paid any attention to it. Even if you call something pay to win, each game needs to be analyzed individually. Right, but Robert, that's the point I am making. If you call it pay to progress and criticize it within that category, that's just more clear and more effective. It's not effective to call it pay to win and then have to spend a bunch of time nuancing and creating caveats to be like, well, there's no actual competitions. There's no actual advantage over other players. It's a perceived advantage when you define progress as winning and when you define progress as winning and getting ahead of other players. But when you define progress as winning and getting ahead of other players as being an advantage, would you say that a player playing more than you is winning and you're not? Would you say a player playing more than you has advantages and over you? Would you say that? I've never heard anybody say that about a game like ESO or Borderlands or any RPG where somebody playing more is winning and you're not, or they have an advantage over you. I've never heard anybody say that. You're only saying it when it pertains to purchases, which is, I just think that's so narrow and so awkward. It's linguistically awkward to be like, well, no, if you did it legitimately, then you're not winning and you don't have an advantage over me. It's only winning and an advantage when you're spending money. Is the second guild full? Yeah, there's a second guild. Reforge Gaming 2, all spelled out. Reforge Gaming is the first guild. And it said it wouldn't let you use a space creature. I don't understand. Were we running out of characters? Because I have a space in Reforge Gaming. It wasn't letting you do a space, or was it that you were running out of characters? Because I have a space in Reforge Gaming. I think Reforge Gaming 2 has no spaces in it. Maybe he had to do that because he couldn't use the number 2. Maybe that's what it was. He ran out of characters. Exactly. Time is money. Stack of time equals stack of money in Lost Ark. It's the same thing. Are we lumping the people that paid for the Founders Pack in for pay to win? They got in earlier than the rest, right? Second guild's 11 out of 30. It would not accept numbers or spaces. What? I have spaces in... That doesn't make any sense. I have spaces in Reforge Gaming. Look. Look, I have a space right there. That's so odd that it wouldn't let you use a space. Because you wanted Reforge Gaming 2? Was there... Oh, was it a character limit then? That's so weird. Can you manage and rename? Change guild name. Oh, you need a ticket. Yeah, that's really weird that it let... I'm aware you were pressed for time. I mean, I was just curious what was it that led to it, because I was like, I'm pretty sure I put in a space. Pay to win, need a ticket. That's right. That's 100% right. Oh, I was like, why is this guy saying this to me? What are we on now? Well, I can't hear anything. Oh, no. Ah! I can't hear the music. I hate when these headphones do this. Yeah, I have to reset the base, and then I think I can't. Freaking stupid. I think if I reset the base, you guys lose audio in OBS or something, and then I have to like reset OBS. Yeah. Who said they applied to get in? Oh. I don't want to play and not be able to hear. Hang on. Okay, can you guys hear the music still? The last time I did this, like, you guys couldn't hear the music. That got loud, sorry. I'm dead, negative. My ears. I don't even know what happened. Got very loud, went back to normal. Nope, we're all deaf. Can still hear the music really low, though. Yeah, we don't make the music super loud. Hang on. Where's the game volume? Maybe that's what it is. There we go. What server? We are... Wait, hang on. We are on Eastern Carta. Okay. Okay. Do-do-do. Okay. All right, let me shift gears here. I'm going to give you guys the link of where we're going. And we're going to be playing. Where is... Here we go. All right, let me pause. We don't need the music playing. All right, let's end the poll. Hey, we got 1K votes. Nice. Okay, that in chat is where we're going. This game can be played on a controller. Yes, I switched to controller and I like it very much. At first, in the beta, they had some things that made playing on controller kind of rough, but it's significantly better. Okay. And then I need to do this. Quote tweet. Okay. Hey, thanks for clicking on the video. Continuing our gameplay in Lost Ark and growing guilds. We have 2 guilds now. If you like Lost Ark, like the gameplay, want to get involved, hit subscribe and the bell button. That way you will not miss my talk shows. This morning we did one about the pay-to-win debate. We had to revisit it because Asmongold and Josh Strife Hayes said the game was pay-to-win. I actually disagreed with them. If you want to see that debate and my argumentation, you can go check out that VOD. I'm actually going to bring people over from that VOD, and I forgot to set up the redirect, so let me set that up very quickly. And then I'm going to bring everybody over from that stream this morning.